welcome to WCBN Student Sports Radio's coverage of Michigan football. I'm Will Yang, and I'll be joined by Jeff Chan, Austin Falco, and Evan Oesterle, and our producer, Jeremy Parks. We are live from AT&T Stadium in Dallas for the AdvoCare Classic as the 11th-ranked Michigan Wolverines take on the 17th-ranked University of Florida Gators. So, Jeff, we're going to start out by recapping Michigan's 2016 campaign.
Yeah, so Michigan's 2016 season can be described as really hopeful, but with a rather disappointing finish. Michigan came into 2016 with high expectations, a top 10 ranking. In the end, though, they won the first 9 games. However, then it kind of got bad from there. Lost to Iowa, a crushing loss to Ohio State, and then a disappointing bowl loss again to Florida State, finishing 10-3. The season had so much promise, only to finish 10-3 felt a little bit empty. And now Michigan, though, will be replacing a lot of their team, a lot of the offensive starters, most of their defense, and this is a very young Michigan team. As for Florida, safe to say, Florida started off well, strong, then however lost against good teams like Alabama, capped off the season with a strong victory over Iowa in the Citrus Bowl.
And so some of the big storylines here going into this game is 10 Florida players were suspended during this summer and will not be playing in today's game. What kind of impact will these players be? What kind of impact will these suspensions have on this game? And the suspensions include Antonio Callaway, who is Florida's leading receiver from last year.
Yeah, so as you mentioned already, Antonio Callaway was Florida's leading receiver, probably most explosive offensive player last year. Callaway had 54 catches, 721 yards receiving. He's gonna have to be replaced by the likes of Tyreek Cleveland, Josh Hammond, and also another big suspension is Jordan Scarlett, their starting running back. Last season, had 179 carries for not over 900 yards rushing. He's gonna have to be replaced by the likes of Michael Ryan, Mark Thompson. Another big loss, though, not a suspension, but an injury is their starting returner in the secondary, Marcella Harris, out for the season, injured his really towards Achilles in fall camp. That is now a huge loss for Florida in the secondary. Now that is 4 brand new people in the secondary. So that will be a big loss than Antonio Callaway and Jordan Scarlett.
So as we get started here, the Florida players entering the arena, what are some keys to the games for the Florida offense as they prepare to take on this young Michigan Wolverines defense?
Well, Florida has a brand new This is his first game as a starting quarterback again. This is in such a big stage against a very good team like the Michigan Wolverines. They want to move the ball on offense. Also, same thing. There came their offensive line, mainly their offensive tackles, pulled up against the defensive line. Florida's left tackle, Martez Ivy, one of the top returning offensive linemen in the SEC. However, he's been banged up his entire fall camp. He's not 100%. He's going to go against 2 very, very good defensive ends, Rashawn Gary and Chase Winovich. That is the key to watch for Florida. Now for Michigan replacing 3 starters on that offensive line. The key today for them on offense is their right tackle position. The starter is going to be Nolan Luzio. Can he hold up against Florida's defensive line? Florida's got a couple great defensive linemen in Taven Bryan and C.C. Jefferson. Can the Michigan offensive line, especially the new right tackle, hold up against their defense? And say also, new things made for Michigan defense. Lavert Hill and David Locke, 2 brand new starting corners. And they win the state. Not allowed to dictate.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of important players though, but who would you say are the key players, one player on each team?
I think for Florida, the key is going to be Felipe Franks, their starting quarterback. He can make some plays in the air. He's going to really open up that run game for Florida. Michigan plays very aggressive and big, sell out to stop the run. If Felipe Franks can keep them honest through the passing game, they could be in business on offense. For Michigan, the key for them is going to be Mo Hurst. Sean Gary gets all the hype, the #1 recruit a year ago. Mo Hurst is the disruptor on that defensive line, the defensive tackle, and really one of the few returners with significant game experience. So he's going to be anchoring what is going to be a very, very good Michigan defensive line.
And right now, Michigan and Florida are at midfield doing the coin toss. And we'll see who will win the coin toss. Michigan has won a toss and will elect to defer. And Florida will receive the opening kickoff. So we'll get to see that Florida offense first with redshirt freshman Felipe Franks, his first college start and opening on one of the biggest stages you could in AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas. As we get underway, offensive coordinator Doug Nussmeier has been here for 3 years at the University of Florida. What kind of game plan do you expect him to implement on this first drive to open up the game?
I wouldn't be surprised to see Florida come out throwing. They want to test Michigan's new corners, David Long, Lavert Hill. Also, same thing, that safeties too. Michigan starting 2 new safeties, Tyler Campbell, Josh Metellus. So I think Doug Nussmeier knows Michigan's front 7 is great. They're incredibly physical and athletic. They're going to try that secondary, see maybe they can get a short passing game going, get the freshman quarterback some confidence and establish a rhythm.
The Florida kick return team enters the field. Florida wearing blue uniforms, blue tops, blue pants, blue socks, blue shoes, blue everything except white helmets. And Michigan comes out in all maize tops and maize pants, the first time since 1928. James Fogue from Palo Alto, California will be set to kick off the game and get us started here, and Tyree Cleveland will be with the lone man returning for Florida. Fogue tees it up, and Michigan gets set to kick the ball off. Brandon Powell is also joined by Cleveland. Cleveland's feet right at the Michigan goal line. Fogue set to kick it off, and it's in the air. Cleveland recovers it in the end zone and takes a knee for a touchback. So Felipe Franks and the Gator offense will take control of the ball at the 20-yard line to start off the game. Don Brown, Michigan's defensive coordinator, enters his second year. He's known to implement a variety of complicated blitz packages. What do you think he'll bring out on this opening drive for Michigan's defense?
Well, Don Brown's known for the close, solve all problems with aggression. He's going to be blitzing early and all throughout this entire game. He's going to try and rattle Felipe Franks, get him to commit some mistakes.
Florida lines out with 2 receivers on the right. That's Hammonds and Tyree Cleveland. Michael Pirine in the backfield. Cleveland goes in motion. It's a jet sweep to Cleveland. He's running to the left, and he's going to be brought down by Josh Metellus, and Devin Bush with a big hit on the sideline. And there's going to be a flag. This looks like it's going to be a late hit on Devin Bush, possibly targeting here on the first play from scrimmage.
That's a late hit out of bounds on Devin Bush. Oh, there was a holding, though, by the tight end on the perimeter, but I don't think that got called.
And it is a late hit out of bounds on Devin Bush. Does not look like any mention of targeting, so it'll be a 15-yard penalty after the first play from scrimmage, and Florida is at their own 45-yard line, right by the big AdvoCare Classic logo.
Ooh, that could have been a targeting call. Devin Bush definitely led with the head. He's lucky there that they didn't call that.
Devin Bush, the sophomore, first-year starter from Pembroke Pines, Florida, and it looks like the refs are stopping the play, possibly to review a potential targeting call.
Yeah, they're going to be reviewing that call. They probably got a second look at something. I mean, Devin Bush leading with the head. I mean, I don't know about that.
And Michigan is already pretty thin in the linebacking position. It looks like Noah Furbush will step in for Devin Bush if the targeting call is confirmed. Furbush, a senior from Kenton, Ohio. He's 2-time All-American two-time academic All-Big Ten in 2015 and 2016. But we're going to take a break from the action as the refs review this.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Devin Bush got ejected from this.
Yeah, it did look like he was clearly helmet to helmet right there on Cleveland, out of bounds too.
And Devin Bush got ejected for a targeting call last year against Iowa on special teams, leading with the head. That is kind of the thing with Devin Bush. He's a very aggressive. He's definitely like a heat-seeking missile. He flies, but same thing. That aggression though can cost him, and it cost him with a late head out of bounds and now potential targeting and ejection.
So looking from the replay, it does look like that Bush will end up getting suspended from this game. And his backup, Noah Furbush, has entered the huddle by the Michigan sideline. So it looks like he will likely start in place of Bush. What does Furbush bring in for Bush?
So Furbush is a lot different than Devin Bush. I mean, he is a bigger one. He's a bigger linebacker, a lot more physical in between the tackles type of linebacker. He's not really much of a sideline to sideline guy, and that's definitely that is a significant change. And I think you see Furbush in there. I think you could also potentially see some of the freshman linebackers now get some serious run. Michigan brought in a good group of true freshman linebackers: Jordan Anthony, Josh Ross, and Drew Singleton. They could get some looks, but yeah, I think for now that you see Noah Furbush, not as athletic, but certainly a guy who can make tackles in the run game.
Yeah, and Furbush is a senior and has seen a lot of time as a reserve and on special teams, so he definitely has plenty of experience to bring in for Bush. The referees are still now consulting on the sideline, communicating with the referees in the booth. Looks like this review might take a while, so we're going to take a break and step out, and we'll be back once the call is announced. So we are back at the AT&T Center in Dallas, and after we left, there was a potential targeting call on Devin Bush, but it looks like it was not confirmed, so Bush is out there back in the action, which is surprising because it did look like the helmet-to-helmet hurt. But in other news, Mike McCray, Michigan's captain, was helped off the field, so he is on the sideline now as Florida begins to take the snap. 1st and 10 from the 45. Felipe Franks, no backs in the backfield, takes shotgun snap, looks downfield, throws it deep to Josh Hammond. He's covered by LeVert Hill, and Hammond makes the grab, and he's pushed out of bounds by Tyreek Hill at the Michigan 20. And Florida right now is in the red zone after 2 plays from scrimmage.
Yeah, that was a great throw by Felipe Franks, really just dropping it right into the breadbasket. Josh Hammond gets a step on LeVert Hill, and he gets a perfect throw, and what a great first throw for Felipe Franks. Really get that confidence going.
Florida gets the ball on the Michigan 22-yard line, knocking on Michigan's red zone. Franks under center, one running back, that's P-Ryan. Franks trips and muffs the handoff, and there's a fumble, and it looks like Michigan has recovered. Big scrum going on at the 25-yard line or so. Unclear to see who has recovered.
Florida got,
and it looks like Florida. Franks has landed on it.
Wow, a disaster almost. So Thick Franks tripped over either over his own 2 feet, or he might have just tripped over one of his offensive linemen, but really lucky to avoid a disaster right there. Very lucky Florida to fall back on it.
So Florida fortunate to recover after a potential disaster. Florida lines up in a similar formation. Franks under center with Michael Pirine the lone setback. 3 receivers to the left. Stretch play to Pirine to the right, and he's met by a host of Wolverines, including Mo Hurst, to bring him down for a tackle for loss.
As I said in the pregame, the key player for Michigan is Mo Hurst. He's an absolute disruptor at defensive tackle. The guy just makes plays. He, with a huge tackle for loss there for Michigan, sets up a 3rd and long for Florida.
And some news for Mike McCray is that he was walking gingerly on the sideline. He could have possibly been hurt during warm-ups. Florida now 3rd and 15 on the Michigan 28-yard line or so, but Jim McElwain elects to call a timeout. Florida wants to discuss this play further.
Yeah, Devin Gill, the replacement for Mike McCray so far. He is a redshirt freshman linebacker. This will be his first game experience. As you mentioned earlier, Michigan. This is a very young team. There is not a lot of depth behind the starters. The starting 11 for Michigan is very good. And from what we are hearing, McCray is currently walking with a limp and he's being examined by the trainers. There's no official word yet on that, but I mean, the fact that if he's walking with a limp, that means we may not see McCray the rest of this day, and that is a huge loss for Michigan. Their captain, their lone returner at linebacker, and that would be. So that means Devin Gill will probably get a lot of the run today at the middle linebacker position. Athletic guy, a little undersized, out of Florida. He came in with Josh Metellus and Devin Bush. They all went to the same high school in Florida. And this is definitely a heck of a way for a young linebacker to be thrown in the fire here at AT&T Stadium against the Florida Gators.
So right now Florida's facing a 3rd and 15 situation. They already burned their first time out to discuss this play. What do you think Doug Nussmeier, Florida's offensive coordinator, is drawing up in the huddle right now?
Well, I think they're going to try and attack. They want to attack the secondary again. I mean, you saw that nice 34-yard pass from Josh Hammond, and Felipe Frank with a great pass in there. I think we can continue to see that Nussmeier is going to go after the secondary. Really try and see if they can get them to commit some mistakes. The thing coming out of fall camp for Michigan is that Don Brown and the coaching staff kept talking about, the corners have a lot of talent, but rather it's just putting it all together consistently on a consistent basis was the problem. So these corners are going to get tested. They're probably going to make a couple mistakes, but these corners can really prevent these big passes like these on a consistent basis. I think they'll be okay. Make the Florida receive, keep the passing game short and in front of them.
Florida still huddling right now. Felipe Franks, his first pass in college career was a deep shot to Josh Hammond. Right now it's 3rd and 15. Michigan's defense breaks the huddle and begins walking back onto the field. Devin Gill, the substitute for Mike McCray, is still in the game. Florida offense enters the field. It's 27. They're on the 27-yard line. It's 3rd and 15. Mark Thompson in at tailback, his first action. Physical senior. The physical senior from Lamont, Pennsylvania. He's the single step back. Franks is in the shotgun. 2 receivers to his left, 2 receivers to his right. Man goes in motion. Josh Hammond steps back, and it looks like there's a false start, which will push Florida back even further. Not what Nussmeier wanted out of the timeout, obviously.
Yeah, I think those are the types of penalties that drive coaches crazy. Coming out of a timeout, you set up your play and then commit a mental error. And I think the reason is that Michigan is going to be coming with the heat. This is the type of down where Don Brown's going to bring the pressure. So, see if Felipe Franks, Florida's get the ball out, but Felipe Franks hands quickly.
Florida lines up, clear receivers to the left. Hammond, Powell, and Dre Massey. Tyree Cleveland to his right, Franks in shotgun, and they're going to hand it off to Mark Thompson. Thompson runs right, and he's met by a host of Wolverines. And that's Devin Bush right there on the tackle with the help of Tyree Cannell and Josh Metellus.
Interesting call on third and long, not wanting to take the chance. They're just going to run it and try get 3 on the board. Great job. That was actually, I think, Devin Gill on the tackle along with Tyree Cannell. So he's getting into the action early.
Yeah, Devin Gill seeing his first time on defense as a Michigan Wolverine, makes a big tackle there. Now Eddie Pinedo, the Florida kicker, will come on for the field goal. He is 21 for 25 on field goals last year. This one will be about a 45-yarder. Snap's good. Pinedo kicks, and it's good. Florida takes the lead 3-0.
Right down the middle. Pinedo is probably one of the best returning kickers in the country, and he nails that right down the middle, no doubt about it. Get Florida on the board.
Florida takes the early lead 3-0 on Michigan. Made some big plays on their initial drive, but eventually sputtered out in the red zone, and now Florida will kick off to Michigan. We'll get to see the Michigan offense first. What do you think Jim Harbaugh and his new coaches on the offensive staff? Pep Hamilton was someone who was brought in. What does Hamilton bring in terms of an extra dimension to this offense?
Well, from what you hear is that Pep Hamilton has really introduced some different new route trees, new passing concepts that Michigan didn't really run under previous passing game coordinator Jeff Fisk. And Pep Hamilton obviously brings in several years of experience as an offensive coordinator in the NFL. He's also was the offensive coordinator at Stanford when Andrew Luck was there. So he's definitely got the pedigree and the experience to try and improve a Michigan passing game that stagnated towards the end of last season.
Florida set to kick it off. Pinedo tees up the ball after hitting a long 45-yard field goal. Looks like Tariq Black and that might be Ambry Thomas set to return the kickoff. Pinedo kicks the ball. It's deep in the end zone. And it's going to be over Thomas's head for a touchback. Michigan will take over from its 20-yard line. And Wilton Spate returns starting off as Michigan's starting quarterback. Harbaugh never officially announced Spate to be the starter, but it looks like Spate will be taking the first team snaps here. Spate lines up under center. Chris Evans, the lone tailback. Henry Poggi, the fullback, goes in motion and lines up at the fullback. Tariq Black alone to the top of the screen. Spate hands off to Evans, and he's met in the backfield by David Reese, the middle linebacker for the Gators.
David Reese, the one-time Michigan commit, however, decommitted after not being able to enroll early. And that was a great play by them. Great job by Florida's defensive line to cave in, not allowing Michigan's left side of the offensive line to get any sort of push.
Michigan lines up, Spate and shotgun now. Chris Evans to his right, Koa Crawford to his left. Spate drops back, looks downfield, finds Crawford going across the middle of the field. He runs to his right and he's met again by David Reese.
Crawford, I don't know why he kept going sideways. If he had cut it upfield, he could have gone a few more yards, but regardless, Koa Crawford is going to probably be Michigan's main man this year at wide receiver. He saw extensive playing time this year, primarily as a blocking wide receiver. His blocking on the perimeter, on the edge, is really, really good, but this year he'll probably be featured as a main pass catcher.
3rd and 8 for Michigan. Spate in the shotgun. Empty backfield. Chris Evans, Ian Bunting, and Tariq Black to his left. Takes a snap, looks downfield. Shuffles in the pocket. No one downfield. Spate's going to run it himself. He dives forward to about the 35, and it looks like he's going to have enough for a Michigan first down.
Great job by Wilton Spate. I think one of the underrated parts of his game, he is actually a very good quarterback when he's mobile in the pocket. He definitely can move around, and you don't really see him scramble that much, but he certainly has it in him. And that was a great job, and also great job by the Florida secondary, blanketing every single receiver.
Yeah, Spate shed some pounds of the offseason that showed in his improved mobility on that play. Offset eye with Hill in the backfield. He gives it to the fullback Hill, and Hill is met by a bunch of Gators and powers forward for maybe a gain of 1 yard.
Khalid Hill, he is their short yardage specialist and really a great receiving fullback too. A little fullback trap. Unfortunately though, another great play. That was David Reeson there again. Active early with a couple tackles.
There's a gain of 1, so that brings up a 2nd and 9 for the Wolverines. 2 receivers to Spate's left. Offset eye with Hill and Evans. Motions Crawford to the right. Tariq Black, the receiver, to his left. Spate under center. Takes the snap. Fakes the handoff, play action, looks downfield, he has Crawford deep, and Crawford dives for the ball, it's incomplete, but a flag on the play, likely going to be a pass interference on Nick Washington, the Florida Gators safety.
Spate going deep early against Crawford. He did have half a step on Nick Washington, however, though, was kind of dragged a little bit from behind. That is a clear pass interference penalty. Sorry, that penalty is on Chauncey Gardner, number 23. The standout safety last year was the MVP in the Outback Bowl with 2 interceptions.
And it looks like he was clearly grabbing Crawford's jersey on the replay. So now Michigan right at midfield on the 50-yard line. Spate under center, lone setback is Chris Evans. Takes the handoff, fakes it to Evans, it's an end around to Eddie McDoom. McDoom running to the left sideline, he's pushed out of bounds.
Eddie McDoom, a fan favorite, as you can tell by the McDoom chants in the background. Really a fly sweep maestro, that was his main role in the offense. Again, we see him there, that was well defended, though, only able to get a few yards out of that.
Well defended indeed, and that brings up a 2nd and 6 for the Wolverines. Offset eye, Poggi the fullback, Chris Evans dots the eye. Spate drops back, looks to pass, and he's met by Jordan Sterrett. And that's a sack for the senior defensive end from Tampa, Florida, and that will be a big loss for the Wolverines.
Nolan Elizzi on the right tackle, one of the key matchups I highlighted, just got beat by Jordan Sherritt, and there was really nothing Spate could do.
That brings up a 3rd and 13. Spate in the shotgun, 1 running back to his side, 2 receivers to his right, 2 to his left. Takes the shotgun snap and to give to the tailback, that's Ty Isaac. Isaac rumbling downfield, he's at the 30, the 20, and he's tackled. Shoestring tackled by the Florida defensive back.
Great play call on 3rd and 1 for the run play. Florida was not expecting that, they were expecting pass, and a great job, you see, a great job by Ty Isaac, making a couple of guys miss, getting into that 2nd level. A big, huge run in the Michigan 1st down. Ty Isaac was not featured much as a feature back last season, but a lot of the camp report saying he's really stood out, and great run right there for him.
Wheatley now checks in at tight end. Offset eye, fakes the handoff, Spate rolling right, looks downfield, shoots to the end zone, and that's over Eddie McDoom's head, incomplete. Coverage by Duke Dawson.
Well covered by Florida Gators on that play. McDoom couldn't really get any separation. Spate just had to throw that a little higher in the way.
Michigan's drive continues at the Florida 16-yard line. Spate in the shotgun, Chris Evans to his right, Tariq Black, the lone receiver, to the left, and Grant Perry and Eddie McDoom to his right. Spate takes the snap, hands it off to Evans. Evans goes through the middle, and there's nothing there, but it looks like the refs have blown the play dead before it started. And Florida has called a timeout right before Spate was able to get it off. So Florida burns 2 of its timeouts in the first 7 minutes.
Going back to that Ty Isaac run, Ty Isaac is known, I mean, Chris Evans gets all the attention as the explosive back, but Ty Isaac, when he gets to the second level, he can certainly move. He's got decent straight line speed. I think the knock on him has always been ball security and agility, that kind of east-west type of quickness he's lacked, and that's certainly a great first run for him.
So Florida called a timeout. Michigan knocking right on the doorstep. It's 2nd and 10 from the Michigan 16. What do you think, Harbaugh, Pep Hamilton, this offensive coaching staff, what do you think they'll draw up to try to get the ball in the end zone here?
Well, I certainly think something Michigan should go to is a Harbaugh specialty is the tight end. Michigan got 2 great tight ends, Ian Bunting, Tyrone Wheatley Jr., both very tall guys, great red zone threats. And I think Ian Bunting, especially at 6'7", Wheatley at 6'6", I think you can line it out wide against a smaller safety or linebacker. You throw it to them. I think that'd be a great play to go with.
And if you're Randy Shannon, Florida's defensive coordinator, what are you drawing up here to keep Michigan out of the end zone?
Well, Randy Shannon, I think just you gotta keep anything out of the end zone. I think you really gotta defend that end zone and then keep everything in front of you. The defensive line is doing a good job getting a decent push against Michigan's offensive line, except for that one long run. And I think you keep, I mean, obviously that matchup, again, Nolan Delusio was already given up a sack. I think you could see Michigan maybe trying to chip the defensive end on his side to give him some help. I think you want to continue to bring the pressure. Michigan's offensive line is relatively new and untested.
Michigan still in the huddle right now. Florida's defense has taken the field. If there's one play you think that Michigan calls, what would it be here?
I think I could see them going with a short pass. I mean, I think Michigan cannot do any long developing pass plays given questions around pass protection. I think the role is to get the ball out of Spate's hands quickly, get it to one of his playmakers, and let them make a play to try and put 6 on the board for the Wolverines.
Michigan lines up, Spate in the shotgun, Chris Evans, the lone back to his left, Donovan Peoples-Jones, the true freshman from Detroit, to the left, motions Wheatley in as a blocker, hands it off to Evans. Evans runs right. He breaks through the first line of defense, but he's brought down by Jordan Sherritt. And that was a pickup of about 5 or 6 yards on the play.
Yeah, I think Chris Evans is probably the best Michigan back in terms of finding the small creases and breaking to the next level. I think a big thing for him this season is if he can develop that extra strength, lower body strength, allow him to break a few tackles without losing any of that quickness that made him such a dangerous home run threat last season.
Spate in the shotgun again, and Chris Evans, the tailback. Nick Eubanks to his right. Sean McHugh, the tight end, on the left. Kakala Crawford and Tariq Black to the right of Spate. Spate takes the shotgun snap, hands it off to Evans again. Evans runs to the left. He has a crease, and he slips right at the 5-yard line, but it looks like he had enough to pick up the first down.
Oh, that could have been 6 right there. Nick Eubanks, number 82, with a great edge block. And if Evans hadn't slipped, he walks into that end zone. But we're going a great first down run for Chris Evans.
Michigan, hurry up, pitches to Evans. Evans looks right, and he's met again by David Reese, another big tackle. Excuse me, that's Chauncey Gardner, who Jeff mentioned was the MVP of the Outback Bowl. A big tackle for loss on Evans.
That was Chauncey Gardner just flew in there, and that looked like a really slow developing play. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the toss play in general. I know Harbaugh loves to run it, especially in the red zone, but to me it's such a slow developing play, and that obviously resulted in a big loss.
And Michigan will call its first timeout here. 2nd and goal from the Florida 9-yard line. Looks like Harbaugh and his offensive staff wants to discuss this further.
Yeah, now, I mean, after that big loss, I mean, how big is it that Chris Evans slipped when he had 6 right in front of him? Turf monsters just tripping him up.
Yeah, Chris Evans looked like he had all the daylight in the world on that play and just ate the turf here. in AT&T Stadium in Dallas, the home of the Dallas Cowboys. Florida defense has finished its huddle and has returned to the field as Michigan breaks its huddle. Again, 2nd and goal from the Florida 9-yard line after the big hit by Chauncey Gardner on the Chris Evans run.
And as you can see coming out of the field, Michigan's got a bunch of tall tight ends in there. I see Ty Wheatley Jr., I saw Zach Gentry in there. This is the kind of stuff that you want to see.
Yeah, Gentry lined up as a tight end. Wheatley to the left, lined up as a receiver. Spate under center. Isaac, the lone setback. Spate takes a snap, gives it to Isaac. Isaac has a hole. He's met at the 3-yard line by a host of Gators, and he'll be brought down, but a positive yard gain for the Wolverines.
Second great run for Ty Isaac. Gets a little crease up the middle. Great block by the center, Patrick Kugler. Opening up that small crease up the middle. Ty Isaac, great. 2 really good runs so far.
Michigan lines up at the Florida 2-yard line. Spade under center. Isaac gets the handoff. He's met in the backfield by Vokshan Joseph. A big tackle to possibly save a touchdown for the Gators, and Joseph loses his helmet and will have to sit out the next play. But that brings up a 4th and goal on the 1-yard line.
I think Harbaugh's going to go for it. Down to the 2-yard line. First game against the quality SEC opponent. I think he's going for it.
And Harbaugh does send out the offense. It's going to be 4th and goal from the 2-yard line. The crowd is getting into this. Michigan in the huddle. Spate in shotgun with Khalid Hill and Chris Evans to his side. Kakal Crawford and Tariq Black, the 2 receivers to his right. Motions Hill to the tight end position. Hill rolls to the right. Spate rolls to the right. Nothing there. Throws it. And it's caught by Crawford for a touchdown. But there is a flag on the play, so this might be called back. There is a flag, and this might not count for Michigan.
Yeah, the look of Spade's face, he's arguing. I think this is against Michigan.
We'll get the call from the officials. Illegal man downfield. I think it was Patrick Kugler who was running down, so the touchdown will not count. And looks like Michigan will send its kicking unit on for the field goal. So an exciting play called back because Michigan offensive lineman was running too far downfield for the illegal man downfield. Michigan will kick what looks like will be a 25-yard field goal. Quinn Norton's first action as a kicker, the redshirt freshman from Michigan. Snap is good, the kick is up, and it's good, and Michigan has tied the game at 3 apiece.
Congratulations on Quinn Norton for his first college make. Highly touted kicker from last season, redshirted last year. Kenny Allen did most of the kicking, all the kicking duties, in fact. Quinn Norton takes over field goal duties and puts this one right through the uprights. Obviously it's a short field goal, but regardless, good job Quinn Norton, first career make.
Yeah, Quinn Norton, like you said, was a top recruit coming out of high school from Rockford, Michigan, redshirt freshman now, and he was the player that Harbaugh slept over at his house in order to recruit him, and now we're seeing some of that Harbaugh's efforts see some results on the field as Norton puts up 3 to tie the game at 3 apiece. 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Both teams have had 1 drive each, and both have resulted in a field goal. What are some early observations you've made as we started this game?
Well, one thing I want to mention is Michigan's offensive line. So far, I mean, Michigan's offensive line, especially at the end of last year, against equal or superior competition, was not very good at all. Now, that was a big question this year is that the incoming starters could be necessarily better, improve upon last year's unit. So far, run game, and it's been hit or miss. I mean, obviously, they give a few tackles for loss, let some guys get in the backfield, but at the same time, they've also springboarded Ty Isaac for a couple long runs. And pass protection so far has been decent, except for the one sack given up by Nolan Nulizio. But otherwise, I think so far positive. Hard to determine right now Michigan's offense. It's a line, but that's going to really be the key to this season.
Now Florida will be receiving the kickoff to start their second drive. What observations have you made on Florida's offense after their first drive?
I think so far, Florida has not really asked Franks to do too much. He's only made one throw. They ran the ball every other play, and I think you can see that change. Michigan's going to be selling out against the run, and they were a very good run-stopping defense. I think Nussmeier's going to have to get a little more creative, open up the passing game for Felipe Franks if they want to try and move the ball consistently against Michigan's defense.
And we're not sure about the status of Mike McCray. The fifth-year senior out of Trotwood, Ohio, was Michigan's captain this year, was elected by the team to be the captain this year. He did not play. He was limping around the sideline. How big, if he has to stay out of this game, how big of an impact will it have?
He's the captain of the defense. Obviously there's his physical talent standpoint, but also the mental. He's the guy, middle linebacker, captain of the defense. He's the one that's going to get everyone lined up properly. Make sure everyone knows their assignments. Now that pressure is going to have to fall upon Devin Bush and Devin Gill, two young linebackers. Their talent, no question about it, incredibly talented, but whether they know this defense, this dog round system inside and out, may not know it as well as Mike McCray may not have that leadership aspect yet.
And Fogue, the senior from Palo Alto, California, kicks it off deep. Tyree Cleveland, the Gator, catches it in the end zone, and he takes a knee for another touchback. So Florida will again begin their second drive from the 20-yard line. Felipe Franks, like Jeff said, has one completion and one attempt for 34 yards.
If I'm Nussmeier, I'd come out throwing on this drive. Test Michigan's secondary. Try and find a way to slow down Michigan's really, really strong defensive line.
And McCray remains out, no Furbush in the game. Michigan with 3 defensive linemen here. Franks takes the shotgun snap, fakes right, rolls right, and he's pressured and has to throw it away. The pressure came from Khalid Hudson.
Khalid Hudson is, I think, just going to become a Michigan fan favorite very soon. He steps into Jabril's old position, the Viper position, and everything we have heard about him is that he's a freak athlete. He flies all over the place. The guy is basically as close to a Jabril Peppers clone as you can get.
Yeah, Jabril Peppers drafted in the first round by the Cleveland Browns. Big holes to fill by Hudson. Franks in the shotgun. LaMichael Pirine the lone back. Quick pass out to Cleveland. Cleveland has some room, and he's met by Rashawn Gary, the defensive end.
Great job on the Michigan screen pass, forcing him back inside. Great job by David Long and Khalid Hudson.
Good news for Michigan. Mike McCray has returned to the game. Looks like his injury was not as serious as Michigan fans had feared.
That is great news if you're Michigan. He is an important part of this defense and a great blitzing linebacker too.
Big 3rd and 8 for the Gators. Frank Shin shotgun, fakes the handoff to Thompson, looks deep, a lot of pressure in his face, and Devin Bush finds him and brings him down. A big stop for the Wolverines to force a 3-and-out.
Mo Hurst, Devin Bush get penetration almost instantly, forcing Franks out to his left. No quarter receiver out there, so he just has to take the sack on his. Devin Bush, great job.
It looks like there was a correction on the penalty on Michigan's previous drive. It was supposed to be called on Krakoa Crawford for having too many players on the field. Florida punts the ball to Michigan, and Donovan Peoples-Jones returns it. He has some space, runs towards the middle, and he's tripped up. right at midfield by the 20-yard line.
Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to be a special player for Michigan, the #1 ranked wide receiver in the country last year out of Detroit, Michigan, committed to the Wolverines, and the thing about him is he is super fast. I mean, all the reports say he's probably the fastest guy on the team. Once he learns really the more technical aspects of the receiver game, watch out, he is going to be a special player for the Wolverines.
Michigan starts off its second drive at the 25-yard line. In the I formation, Poggi at fullback, Evans dots the I, one receiver each to the right and left. That's Black and Crawford. Spate under center, takes a snap, fakes it to Evans, looks downfield. That's Tariq Black, who drops the ball, and it's almost intercepted. The pass was broken up by Chauncey Gardner and almost intercepted by C.C. Jefferson.
Wow, a huge break for the Wolverines. Tariq Black, a true freshman, who's had a really good camp. I mean, first game jitters just bounces right off his hand. It's a little higher, but you're a receiver. It hits your hands. You got to catch that. And a missed opportunity for the Gators for an early turnover.
Spate under center. Chris Evans the lone setback. 3 receivers to his right. Tariq Black to his left. Hands it off to Evans. Evans has a crease. He breaks through the first level, and he has some room. He's at midfield, and he's pushed out of bounds by Duke Dawson, but a big run by the sophomore running back.
This is what Chris Evans is great at. He's great at bouncing and getting to the second level, finding that crease, getting to that second level, and he is gone. Great block by Sean Nakia to springboard Chris Evans to the second level, and he is one of the fastest guys on this team. A huge run for Michigan.
And it looks like there's a Florida Gator injured on the play. It's too hard to see right now. Right at midfield, and we're going to have a stoppage for an injury timeout. But Chris Evans' big run brings Michigan into Florida territory. And that's the kind of explosion that you mentioned, right, Jeff?
Yeah, exactly. Chris Evans averaged 7 yards a carry last year. And, I mean, he is the guy where you gave him the ball, he can... You don't know. I mean, he could take it all the way 50 yards for a touchdown. Chris Evans is the most experienced returning back. He's going to be featured much more heavily in this offense as an every down back. And see now if he can handle that load while this year compared to last year where he was more of a change of pace back.
And we're trying to figure out who the injured Gator is. And it looks like it's Nick Washington, the 6-foot, 190-pound redshirt senior from Jacksonville, Florida, another leader on the Florida secondary, but he is able to get up under his own power, and he's being helped to the sideline right now.
Yeah, this is losing Nick Washington. It looks like it might be a problem with his wrist. This is the area where Florida cannot afford to lose any guys. They're already down Marcel Wilson from the their returning safety. This is a thin position where losing another guy could really be bad for the Florida Gators.
And Sean Davis steps in for the injured Washington. Michigan picks up a first down at the Florida 46-yard line. Spate under center. One running back to his right. Takes a snap, fakes the handoff, rolls right, looks downfield deep, throws it deep, and Tariq Black is wide open. Black comes back to the ball, and he catches it for a touchdown.
Welcome to college football, Tariq Black. After dropping a routine pass earlier, comes in with his first career catch. And that is a huge one, a deep 50-yard touchdown, 46-yard touchdown pass to the true freshman. Welcome to Michigan to college football, Tariq Black.
Yeah, Tariq Black, the true freshman from Hampton, Connecticut. His first catch of his college football career, and it could not have been a bigger catch on a bigger stage, as the extra point from Quinn Norton is good, and Michigan now leads 10-3 with 3 minutes left to go in the first quarter.
Now remember, Nick Washington went out that previous play, and we saw the safety got beat. Sean Parrish, number 31. You also saw they slid over Chauncey Gardner at safety. Both of them let Tariq Black get behind him. A well-drawn-out play. You saw Black made a little move on the safety, and he was gone at Spade. who was inconsistent on hitting the deep throws last year, threw a perfect one into Tariq Black, and this time Black holds on to it and for a huge Michigan touchdown. And you know, in terms of the freshman receivers, Donovan Peoples-Jones gets all the hype, but all the reports said Tariq Black really was the one standing out in camp. He's the one obviously that got the start alongside Kakoa Crawford and Grant Perry. So great job for Tariq Black. This kid is going to have a great career at Michigan.
Yeah, Black, a kid from Hamden, Connecticut. You know, the East Coast is not necessarily known as a place that produces big-time football players, but Black is showing that, you know, that stereotype might not necessarily be true, and he makes a big play to put Michigan up by 7. Tyree Cleveland and Brandon Powell, the two men back for Florida to receive the kickoff. James Fogue again lines it up to boot it deep. The Michigan fans are getting into it with chants of "Let's go Blue." And Fogue sends it deep. It's going to be received by Cleveland again for a third time. He catches it in the back of the end zone and takes a knee for a touchback.
Nick Fogue, 3 kickoffs, 3 touchbacks. That's all you can ask for out of your kickoff, man.
Florida begins its third drive. First one got them into field goal range. The second one was a quick 3 and out. Felipe Franks, the true freshman, coming out for his third drive. He's 2 for 3 now on the day with 36 yards.
And I think Nussmeier needs to go with more short passes. I mean, the last drive, 3 and out, they threw it twice. Those are long, slowly developing play-action passes that really couldn't go anywhere. So see if Nussmeier can get something more quick, get that ball out of his hands quickly.
Franks lines up under center. Mark Thompson, the lone tailback. 2 tight ends to his right. That's Goolsby and Lewis. Lewis goes in motion to line up as the fullback. Franks fakes the handoff. He slips, and the play is blown dead. It was a play-action bootleg, but Franks again hit the turf monster.
This is the second time Franks is tripped, and that time he just tripped over his own 2 feet. I don't know what else to say about that. Just clumsiness.
And Felipe Franks struggling with the turf in his college football debut. And looks like there's an official's timeout on the play.
Oh, somebody is hurt. Someone, Michigan player is hurt.
And the injury is way on the other side of the field.
It looks like it's one of the DBs, but I cannot tell. 22.
And that's David Long, who was Michigan's second corner. That's David Long, the sophomore from Los Angeles, California. He gets up under his own power.
I'm not sure what happened there, but just like Florida losing Nick Washington, this is an injury Wolverines cannot afford. It looks like David Long is walking on his own power. He looks okay, maybe just slightly shaken up, but this is a position where Michigan cannot lose a guy. They had to replace all their 5 most experienced defensive backs last year. Lavert Hill and David Long are the starters, and the only really experienced backup is Brandon Watson and Ambry Thomas.
Brandon Watson has entered the game for Long. Florida now faces a 2nd and 17 after Franks trips. Franks fakes the handoff, throws it quick to Dre Massey on a wide receiver screen, but he's met by Mo Hurst.
Mo Hurst is flying everywhere so far. And a great sideline-to-sideline movement for him. He saw that screen instantly and hustled over there.
Great tackle indeed by Hurst to bring up Florida 3rd and 15. These second and long positions are where Don Brown's defense likes to feast. Franks lines up in the shotgun with Mark Thompson as his running back. And him and Goolsby split out to the right. Franks alone in the backfield. Goolsby goes in motion. Franks takes a snap, rolls left, looks downfield, nothing there. He's going to run it himself. He has some room across the 30, and he's going to be pushed out by Lavert Hill. But it was enough to pick up a first down for the Gators.
Broken play for Felipe Franks. Great job improvising, and great job by Florida's line to give him some protection. And Michigan broke contain on the backside, and Felipe Franks was able to find that and run 16 yards for a first down. A huge, huge play for the Florida Gators.
That gives Florida a fresh set of downs. Franks in the pistol with Michael Pirine as the running back. Three receivers to the left. He has Massey, Swain, and the true freshman Kadarius Toney split out wide. Franks gets a snap, hands it off to Pirine. Pirine runs right. He has a crease, but he's met by Rashawn Gary, who engulfs him. Excuse me, that was Carlo Kemp, the sophomore.
Carlo Kemp is Rashawn Gary's backup in there for probably give Gary a breather. And Carlo Kemp has guy that a highly touted recruit last year, saw some playing time, and really has been getting a lot of good reviews from Don Brown on campus. Really stepped up his game, and I think it looks to be a solid contributor on this defensive line.
That brings up a 2nd and 9. Franks under center, LaMichael Pirine the low setback, Toney the receiver to his right, and Massey and Swain split out to the left. Hands it off to Pirine, and he's hit immediately by Lavert Hill, who is coming on a corner blitz. Big play by the sophomore out of Detroit, Michigan.
Lavert Hill is going to be a special player. Lavert Hill has been the one that Mike Sortage and Don Brown has been talking about as really the quarterback that has stepped this game up the most. There's a lot of comparisons to Jordan Lewis.
Jordan Lewis, the former Michigan cornerback who was picked by the Dallas Cowboys, the team that plays normally in this stadium. There's going to be a timeout on the field right now. This brings us to the end of the first quarter, and we'll take a break and we'll come back for the second quarter. We bring you back to the second quarter of the AdvoCare Classic between the Michigan Wolverines and the Florida Gators. Florida now has a first down at their own 37-yard line. Excuse me, it's 3rd and 9 from their 37-yard line. And David Long, the Michigan cornerback, who was hurt on a previous play, is back in the game. Felipe Franks is in the shotgun with Mark Thompson as the lone tailback. Brandon Powell to the right. Franks drops back, looks deep for the Florida receiver. That's Freddie Swain. Good coverage by David Long. It's incomplete, and that forces a 4th down.
Felipe Franks just overthrown it slightly. Good coverage by David Long, keeping with Freddie Swain. Florida unable to convert it, another 3rd and long, and we'll have to punt.
So David Long, who was hurt on the previous play, had to come off, comes back on to have great coverage on the receiver, Freddie Swain, and force a 4th down. And now Florida is set to punt the ball away. Johnny Townsend, the Florida punter, averaged an FBS high 47.9 yards per punt. Kicks it deep for the true freshman, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Jones fields it at the 10-yard line, makes a man miss, and he's going across the 25-yard line until he's finally brought down by the punter, Johnny Townsend. But showing some elusiveness early, the freshman from Detroit, Michigan.
Looking like Jabril Peppers, a couple nifty moves to get a couple guys miss. Donovan Peoples-Jones showing some of his athleticism early on punt return.
Michigan begins the drive at the 20-yard line, the 26-yard line. The 20-yard line was where they were huddling. Spate lines up in the offset eye. Hill, the fullback. Chris Evans dots the eye. Kakar Crawford to the right. Tariq Black to the left. And the tight end is Tyrone Wheatley Jr. Sends Crawford in motion. Spate hands it off to Evans. Evans finds a crease, wiggles his way up to the 30-yard line for a gain of 4.
So far, Michigan's best runs have been to the left side, and that is where Mason Cole, the left tackle, and Ben Bredesen, the 2 returning starters from last year's offensive line. That is where the experience is at, and I think Michigan's been running the majority of its run plays to that side of the line.
Michigan lines up again in the power eye. Hill and Evans in the backfield. Play action, Spate drops back, looks deep, throws it deep to Crawford, who's covered well by Duke Dawson. Crawford gets some separation, and he makes the catch, but it's out of bounds.
And not a great throw by Wilton Spate. If you want to throw that deep ball along the sideline, you got to at least put it in bounds, let your receiver have a chance. Crawford got a bit of separation at the very end, and could have had a chance to make a huge play, but threw that ball out of bounds. There was no way he could have had any chance to catch that pass. The
incompletion brings up a 2nd down and 10 for the Wolverines. Spate in the shotgun. Ty Isaac now in the game as the lone set back to his left. 3 receivers to his right, and Sean McCune, the tight end, the lone receiver to the left. Spate takes the snap, drops back, hits Grant Perry on a slant, and that's a Michigan first down. And Grant Perry spun the ball as a celebration, and the refs throw a flag, probably for excessive celebration. Not a high IQ move by Grant Perry after a great catch.
I'm not sure what they're calling it on.
It was an unsportsmanlike conduct. Grant Perry, after picking up the first down, spun the ball on the ground as a celebration, and I guess these officials did not like that. Today's game's officials are from the Big 12 Conference.
Yeah, I don't like that call. I mean, obviously I understand the sportsmanlike rules are but that is just not a good call. You gotta let him have that.
Questionable call brings the Michigan first down, backed up at their 22-yard line. Spate hands it off to Ty Isaac. Isaac blows forward for a gain of about 1 or 2 yards.
Grant Perry, the slot receiver, I know he committed that as sportsmanlike conduct, but he's really going to be kind of the safety blanket, if you can call it that, for Michigan. Grant Perry's kind of returning has been a contributor at slot receiver for the last 2 years for Michigan. Figures to get a bigger role this year.
Draw play to Isaac. Isaac tries to get outside, but he's met by the Florida linebacker. That's Tylen Johnson.
Isaac, if he had just been a little more patient, Michael Owenu had the block on Johnson, but I think he got a little too eager and kept going. Not allowing Owenu to set up a block for him. He could have sprung it up for a few more yards.
After the run, it's 3rd and 9 at Michigan's own 24-yard line. Spade in the shotgun. Evans, the lone back to his left. Perry and Crawford to his right. Spade drops back, look downfield, has some time, goes it deep to Crawford. Crawford drops it and is intercepted by Duke Dawson. Dawson running towards midfield. He's at the 30, has 20. He sees daylight ahead of him, and he dives for the end zone. That's a touchdown. Pick 6 for the Florida Gator. Duke Dawson, the 5'10", 222-pound senior from Cuss City, Florida, has the game at 10-9 with the extra point pending to tie it up.
That was a drop pass by Kakoa Crawford. A little higher. I understand that might be a tougher catch, but that's something you've got to bring down. I mean, it hits your hands. It was catchable. And that is just a bad mistake by Kakoa Crawford now. And Florida, that brings him right back in it.
After things started looking like the momentum was going in Michigan's favor, Florida comes back with a pick 6 to tie this game up if Pinedo's extra point goes through. And it looks like the previous play is under review, although it does look like Dawson, who didn't actually dive, came very close to the pylon. It looks like he made it, but these officials just want to double check and make sure.
So far, 2 bad drops by Michigan's receiver. The first one by Tariq Black, and almost got picked off by C.C. Jefferson off the tip. This time, though, no such luck for Michigan. Falls right in the hands of Duke Dawson, and he gets a couple good blocks and takes it all the way back.
And watching the replay, it looks like he did cross the pylon, although the refs have still stopped the game. And it looks like our officials are about to make an announcement here. The touchdown is confirmed, so it is 10-9. Michigan still leads with the extra point pending from Pinedo. Will tie it up.
And it's unfortunate to see Crawford drop that, because as a recruit coming out of high school, he was touted as a guy who had really surefire hands. That was like his greatest asset. And to see him drop medium hard pass like that, I mean, it's unfortunate.
The extra point is good to tie the game up at 10 apiece. Andrew Mike, the Florida offensive lineman, is injured on the play. $12:19 left to go in the game. Andrew Mike, 6'6", 300 pounds, redshirt junior from Tucson, Arizona, is being looked at by the training staff right now. So we'll take a step out and we'll come back for the resume of play. We are back with coverage from the AdvoCare Classic in Dallas. The score is 10-10 with 12:19 to go. Florida tied the game up with a pick six from Duke Dawson, and they're set to kick off the ball. Crawford and Black, Michigan's two starting receivers, set to receive this kickoff. And Pinedo is set to launch it deep. It's a short kick, it's a flat kick, excuse me, but still makes it over Crawford's head and through the back of the end zone for a touchback.
Two drops so far by Michigan's young receivers. I know it's got to be testing Harbaugh's patience, but he's going to have to ride with these guys. I mean, I think they're going to experience some growing pains. These guys haven't gotten a lot of playing experience, but I think these guys like Crawford, Tariq Black, they're going to be huge, great players from Michigan down the road. I think that early in the beginning, they're just going to go through some growing pains.
Michigan in the offset eye. Tariq Black in motion, fakes the handoff to Black, gives it to Chris Evans. Evans met in the backfield by Jordan Sherritt. It's going to be a run of no gain. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 10 for the Wolverines.
Jordan Sherritt has been busy so far. A sack early in the game, now another one that I don't know if it's going to count as a tackle for loss, but he's certainly stopping him for no gain. He's been busy so far.
Yeah, Jordan Sherritt, the redshirt senior from Tampa, Florida. Spate lines up in a shotgun, empty backfield, and brings Poggi and Evans into the backfield for an offset eye. Handoff is to Evans. Evans wiggles through the middle and slides forward for about a gain of 4 yards. He's tackled by Kylan Johnson, the redshirt sophomore from Dallas, Texas.
Interesting, John Runyon is in there right now, number 75. I think he's in there at right guard. I don't know what happened to Michael Onwenu, but Runyon is now in there at right guard.
Spate lines up in the shotgun. Empty backfield, 3 receivers to his left. Kakoa Crawford, the lone receiver, to his right. Spate takes the snap, drops back, looks downfield, finds Grant Perry over his head and intercepted! Again! And that's going to be another pick six. The interception was to C.J. Henderson on the interception. That's 2 pick sixes in consecutive drives, and Florida now leads 16-10.
This one was just a bad throw by Lone Spate. Overthrew hit Grant Perry in the slot. And Henderson with a second straight pick six on consecutive drives. 2 defensive touchdowns for the Florida Gators.
And Florida's defense has really stepped up to take the lead now after the Florida offense has been struggling to get going. And this time it was a pretty blatant overthrow by Wilton Spate.
Now that one he has no one to blame but himself. A poor throw for an otherwise pretty accurate Wilton Spate. That is very uncharacteristic of him to overthrow a receiver like that. But it has led to 2 very costly touchdowns for Florida.
And the PAT puts Florida up 17-10. That Michigan drive didn't last too long before Florida took the lead on another pick six. There's 10:50 left to go in the second quarter, and it's been a while since Florida's offense has seen the field. Their defense has been doing the majority of the scoring so far today.
I mean, you look at the stat sheets. I mean, Michigan is outgaining Florida 149-46 in total yardage. They're out-rushing them 91-8. They have more passing yards, but the key thing, turnovers. Michigan is 2, Florida is 0, and both those have been cashed in for touchdowns. And that has really been the difference so far.
Yeah, it seemed like Michigan was taking control early in the second quarter, but these 2 pick sixes have spun the game around 180 degrees. Now Florida leads by a touchdown. Despite their offensive woes, Florida's defense has been taking over this game.
And after Michigan had been moving the ball pretty well on them, but now you kind of wonder that doubt is starting to creep into William Spade's minds mentally. 2 interceptions, one was the receiver's fault, the other one was a bad throw. William Spade, I mean, he's going to have to bounce back from him because they need him.
Michigan is 3-0 all-time playing Florida in the two schools' history. The last time these two teams faced was in the Citrus Bowl 2 years ago in 2015, and Michigan blew off Florida, so this is sort of a revenge game for Florida as the two teams meet for the first time in the regular season. The end of the timeout, both teams take the field. Again, it's Kakoa Crawford and Tariq Black back to return the kickoff for Michigan. Eddie Pinedo lines it up to boot deep for the Gators. Tariq Black, the true freshman from Cheshire Academy in Connecticut. Crawford, the true sophomore from California. Pinedo boots it deep, a high booming kick, and it's going to go over Crawford's head again for a touchback. And Michigan will start at its own 25.
2 straight turnovers. Michigan has to respond here. William Spade, I mean, he's been a little rusty so far. He had 1 good touchdown pass and a couple bad throws, but he needs to step up now when they need him most.
And Michael Onwenu is back in the game, who originally started, a 300-pound lineman. And John O'Corn has stepped in at quarterback. Transferred from Houston last year, was in the competition with Spate, but now he takes shotgun with Chris Evans, the lone back. O'Corn takes the shotgun snap, hands it off to Evans. Evans is met in the middle, surges forward, but ultimately is only able to pick up about 1 yard. And it's interesting to see O'Corn out there. Spate pulled early. We're not sure if it was his performance or something else.
Wow, this is incredibly shocking to say the least. John O'Corn, clearly the backup last year, and from everything we've been hearing is that he has been the backup. I don't know if Spade's hurt, or maybe there's something we don't know about the battle between Spade and O'Corn.
From the power formation, the give is to Evans again. Evans tripped up in the backfield, squirts ahead for 2 or 3 yards. Great defense by Florida's front 7 there.
I see Spade's working on the bicycle. I don't know if maybe something he's maybe shaken up or something with his knee or leg, but this is shocking. I mean, he looks to be okay.
It's going to be a 3rd and 9. O'Corn commanding offense in the shotgun. Karan Higdon, the lone setback. 2 receivers to the left and 2 to the right for O'Corn. O'Corn takes the snap, runs to his left, hands it off to Higdon on a draw play, and he's met by C.C. Jefferson, and he's swallowed up by a swamp of Gators. John Reese, the second, also on the tackle, and that's going to be a 3 and out for the Wolverines. And Brad Robbins, the punter for Michigan, is out on the field to see his first action of the game. Brandon Powell for Florida set to receive the punt.
This is something really to monitor closely, what's going on with Spade.
And the punt is blocked by DeAndre Goolsby. The ball is dribbling out by the 40-yard line. The ball is live still, but Sean McCune for Michigan stops it dead. And Florida will start its drive at the Michigan 38-yard line. And that was Will Hart on the punt. And it looks like Florida will begin its drive again in Michigan territory, knocking on the doorstep again. Florida leads 17-10 with 10:50 left to go, and we'll see if Felipe French and the Gator offense can extend this lead.
Everything's going in Florida's direction now. Special teams play huge coming through right there.
Michigan coming out with 3D linemen. Franks under center, sends Cleveland in motion, hands it off to P. Ryan. P. Ryan is met in the middle, tries to cut it outside, but he's met by Noah Furbush.
Great tackle by Noah Furbush. Guy who plays with great technique, but so far Michigan's defense has really been holding their own so far. And apparently what we're hearing now is that O'Korn was going to play. I'm not sure what that means, if he's now the star or they decided to give him a series.
I think it was part of the game plan to play O'Korn early. As Felipe Franks completes a short pass to Brandon Powell, who's close to the marker, but it won't be enough for a first down to bring up 3rd and short for the Gators.
I mean, it's interesting to play O'Korn. If he's playing well, then sure, but I mean, the thing is that they went in there, they ran 3 straight plays, which speaks of like not having trust in his ability to throw. Maybe he was spurred by the fact that Spade and Miller had 2 straight interceptions, but really a curious decision. We'll see who's in next one.
3rd and 2 for the Gators. The handoff is to P. Ryan. He tries to break it outside, but Devin Bush has him and drags him down by the 30. A big tackle for loss for the Wolverines to stop the Gators' offense.
Florida tried to go quick. They tried to catch Michigan off guard, and they almost did, but Devin Bush, great job getting there with, I mean, he is an athletic freak. The upside is unlimited for him, and he showed it right there with a huge tackle for loss. He has been active since the beginning of this game.
That will bring on the field goal unit. Pinheiro on to attempt his 2nd field goal of the game. This one will be a 47-yarder for the redshirt junior from Miami, Florida. The kick is up. It's straight, and it's good.
No, he missed it.
It's no good. Excuse me, it's hard to tell from our angle, but the field goal is no good.
Wide left, I believe.
Pinheiro, one of the best kickers in the SEC, but misses the 47-yarder, and Michigan with the stand. And the score remains 17-10. The Gators up with 8:54 left to go in the 2nd quarter. And we're going to take a break now. Again, we're back in Dallas for the AdvoCare Classic. Michigan's offense now takes the field, and John O'Korn is still in at quarterback. Florida leads 17-10. Florida scored his last 2 touchdowns with 2 pick sixes. One of them was Duke Dawson, his 3rd career interception and his 3rd career pick 6. O'Korn set to line up in the
Sorry, we got disconnected on air for a brief moment. We have Tariq Black with a huge catch on the sideline. However, there is a targeting call. We're now reviewing that.
Yeah, so back from technical difficulties, like Jeff mentioned, a big completion by the Wolverines to Tariq Black. The coverage was by Marco Wilson, the true freshman from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But it looks like there was a targeting call on the safety, Nick Washington, the senior from Jacksonville. And right now the officials are taking a look at it.
Now this is going to be very interesting because, I mean, it looks like a targeting. He did lead with his head, and by that definition, it looked like it should be an ejection. However, early in the game, Devin Bush, I thought was a for sure targeting ejection. They did not call it. So the targeting rule is just, it's a huge quagmire in terms of the consistency of calling it. There are times where I've seen it where the guy's leading with a shoulder and it's targeting and it's ejected. Times where I think it's clearly obvious. The guy leads with his head, takes out the other guy's head, the receiver's head. He's got a concussion, but they don't call it. So I'm not really sure what targeting is.
And it looks like the targeting call has been confirmed, much to the dismay. Oh, excuse me, the targeting call was overturned. And Nick Washington, the player in question, returns to the field. There is no ejection. So far, 2 potential targeting calls, 1 on each team, but none of them are confirmed, and no one has been ejected so far in today's AdvoCare Classic. But the completion is still good, and Michigan picks up at the Florida 33-yard line. O'Corn still in the game under center with Chris Evans, the lone tailback. 3 tight ends to his right. Kakoa Crawford, the lone receiver, far right. O'Corn takes a snap. Delayed handoff to Evans. Evans slides to the left and gets tripped up by Ja'Kai Polite. And it's going to be a gain of about 2 or 3 yards.
Yeah, going back to the previous throw, I mean, good job by O'Corn throwing it to where only Tariq Black can make a catch, and Black with another huge catch, another big reception, and he is having a big day so far. That was 37 yards. So establishing himself as a deep play threat so far.
The 1-yard gain brings Michigan to 2nd and 9. Offset eye for O'Corn. Takes a snap, drops back, looks for a man downfield. Nothing there, and it's going to be a sack. It's going to be met by 2 Gators, Ja'Kai Polite and C.C. Jefferson.
That one is a coverage sack. Not really Mason Cole's fault at all. John O'Corn had really a clean pocket to throw in, and he kind of took off to his left, ran right into C.C. Jefferson, not really Mason Cole's fault there.
And a big sack to bring Michigan back further to a 3rd and 13 after it seemed like Michigan was starting to gain some momentum on offense. And Michigan's going to call a timeout. Harbaugh seems like wants to discuss this play further. So it's going to be a 3rd and 13 for the Michigan Wolverines at the Florida 36-yard line with 5:10 left to go in the second quarter.
This is really interesting so far. I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole O'Korn getting consistent playing time. And generally the thing is that when you're playing 2 quarterbacks in the same game, it's generally not a good sign. It's more the fact that you can't really decide who's better and you're trying to work things out. And the funny thing, though, kind of ironic, is that Florida was the one where it had the bigger uncertainty at quarterback. So far, Felipe Franks has gone all the tests. Now, given they haven't been on the field much, but so it seemed like Michigan is now the one playing multiple quarterbacks and not Florida.
Yeah, the old adage goes, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't really have one. And right now, both Spate and O'Korn have seen extended time in this game as O'Korn is back in the huddle. It's going to be a 3rd and 13 for Michigan. O'Korn lines up in the shotgun with Ty Isaac going back to his left. 3 receivers to his right. That's Perry, Crawford, and Black.
I wouldn't be surprised with this 4-down territory. Try to get half that yardage back.
O'Korn drops back, finds a pocket. He's tripped up. Another play by Ja'Kai Polite. 3 tackles in a row for the Florida defensive lineman. The sophomore from Daytona Beach, Florida, with a big play to stop Michigan.
Let's set it down. Just all Ja'Kai Polite. O'Korn, if he had gone through, could have gone the first down, but great play by him. And wow, going with the field goal unit.
Michigan brings out the field goal unit. Quinn Norton set to try his second field goal of the game. This one will be a 55-yarder. Snap is good. Hold is good. Kick is up. And it falls short. Oh, no, it's good. It sneaks through the uprights. A 55-yard field goal by Quinn Norton. His second attempt in college, and it's a big one. And it brings Florida's lead down to 4 as Florida now leads 17-13.
I got to see the replay on that. Holy God, I thought that was short. Just game of inches, literally. That one made it over by a few inches. That is an amazing kick by Quinn Norton, just a redshirt freshman at the end of the day. This isn't like Sebastian Janikowski of the Raiders, of the Oakland Raiders there. But that was a NFL kick right there. And I mean, it took all of that leg, but wow.
And showing highlights from the Maryland-Texas game. Maryland is stomping the Longhorns now, 51-34. But Texas came back to bring it to 51-41, but that wasn't enough. And the Terrapins surprised the Longhorns on the road in Texas coach Tom Herman's first game as Texas head coach. So big win for the Big Ten in a Big Ten Big 12 matchup early in the year against 23rd ranked Texas.
I always thought Texas was overhyped at number 23. I mean, after all, they did go 5-7. I think Tom Herman's going to be a good coach for University of Texas in the long haul, but he's got some stuff to clean up, and I think there's too much. I think the expectations are too high. I think he's going to need a year or two to really get his guys in and get the culture going. But really, DJ Durkin, that is a huge win that could really propel a season for Maryland. I mean, they got to a bowl game last year. Durkin's recruiting very well, and they might make some noise in the Big Ten East. Obviously, they're behind the big three of Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State, but I wouldn't be surprised if they could fit in 8-9 wins there in the season. A huge win going to Austin, Texas. Not a good place to play at all for a visiting team to get that win.
Yeah, definitely. Austin, Texas, home of the Texas Longhorns, an iconic college football program, but the Terrapins sneaking a win. You're right, Jeff. Things are looking hopeful for the Terrapins, but back to Dallas. Florida now leads 17-13 after Nordine's 55-yard field goal showing off his impressive leg and making Harbaugh's sleepovers at his house to recruit him more understandable as the redshirt freshman showing some impressive talents.
I mean, I don't know the last time I've seen a college kicker make a 50-plus yarder. I mean, you don't see that there nowadays. A lot of times teams go for it in that kind of that hazy area, but having a kicker like that, it's good.
James Fogue set to kick it off for the Wolverines. Looks like this one could be returnable. It's returned by Sean Davis. That's Dre Massey, and he's met by a bunch of Wolverines at the 14-yard line. Not sure if it was the smartest idea for Massey to bring it out there.
Great kickoff coverage by the Wolverines. I mean, they were flying down there.
Florida will begin its drive in the shadow of their own end zone to some extent at their 16-yard line. Felipe Franks comes out to lead the Gator offense. He's in the shotgun with Mark Thompson to his right. 2 receivers to his left and 1 to his right. Fakes the handoff. Looks deep. Throws it deep to Cleveland, who has a step on the defender. He comes back to make the catch against Lavert Hill. Another big completion by the true freshman, Felipe Franks. The redshirt freshman.
They're certainly testing Michigan secondary with a few deep shots, and that one a little underthrown, but Cleveland makes a great job adjusting to the ball. Lavert Hill doesn't in time. Great job, though. I mean, so far, a couple of big pass plays for the Florida Gators.
Franks lining up under center now with Mark Thompson, the lone back. 2 receivers to his left. Hands it off to Thompson, who runs to his left. And he's met by Devin Bush again, and Kalik Hudson and Mike McCray also aiding on the tackle.
That play was all Kalik Hudson. He really set the edge right there going against the tight end, Seontae Lewis. He did not let Seontae get the edge on him, allowing Piran to bounce it to the outside. That was running back Mark Thompson, but great job by Kalik Hudson setting the edge, forcing Thompson back inside where he was met by a swarm of defenders led by Devin Bush.
Franks lines up now in the pistol formation with Malik Davis now seeing some of his first action of the game. The pitch is to Davis, who runs right. Looks like he has some room, and he's tripped up by Devin Bush at the 50-yard line.
That could have been that was a touchdown-saving tackle. If he had broken through that, he was gone.
This brings up a 3rd down and about 4 to go for Florida. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go on the clock. Big 3rd down at midfield for the Gators.
Michigan crowd getting into it. They want to get off the field and give their offense one more chance.
Franks lines up in the shotgun. Mark Thompson's back in the game. 2 receivers to his left. Hands it off to Thompson, who's met, but he cuts it back, and he has some room. There's a flag on the play, but Thompson looks like he's going to waltz into the end zone.
That's going back. I'm pretty sure that is in the area of holding. That ball is probably coming back.
Looks like there will be a holding right now. But Mark Thompson had fields of green in front of him. The holding call was on the center, TJ McCoy. 314-pound redshirt sophomore from Claremont, Florida, and that's going to bring back the big gain by Mark Thompson, and it's going to take a touchdown back.
Yeah, he got a fistful of Mo Hurst's jersey and kind of just threw him to the ground. I mean, I don't blame him. He's got to block one of the best defensive tackles in football, but Florida, an unfortunate break, and it was a good run by Mark Thompson. He was originally stopped, stonewalled at the line, but great job bouncing it out. Unfortunate, though, with the holding call.
So what looked like a Gator touchdown is now back to about midfield. This is 3rd and 13 for the Gators. Not really where they'd like to be right now. Franks takes the snap, fakes the handoff, looks downfield, throws it to the perimeter to Freddie Smith, and it's broken up by Brandon Watson. A big play by the senior from Wilmington, Delaware.
Brandon Watson. There's one good thing Brandon Watson does well. It is press coverage. He's stuck with his guy the entire way, and great job turning around to find the ball and batting away. That was perfect technique by Brandon Watson. Really great job.
And that great play by Watson brings up a 4th and 13. Florida is set to punt it away. Michigan has Donovan Peoples-Jones back to receive the punt.
Michigan will get the ball one more time, see if they can put some points on the board.
Jones, Peoples-Jones at his 7-yard line, feels the punt, no fair catch, and he's tackled immediately. Now it's Sean Davis on the play. Not a smart move by Peoples-Jones. And that brings Michigan to start its drive at its own 7-yard line, and now they're in the shadow of their own end zone.
The great job by the gunner on that play. Peoples-Jones is so far a couple punt returners, made a couple guys miss, but he stuck with him. Wouldn't let Peoples-Jones out of his grasp. Great job and pins Michigan deep.
Good punt by Florida. Wilton Spate now back in the game after taking a few drives off. He lines up under center with Chris Evans alone, running back in the backfield. One receiver, hands it off to Evans. Evans tries to cut it up the middle. Gain of 1 yard maybe. Tackle was made by Jabari Zuniga on the play.
Yeah, the right side of the line got pushed back big time. Patrick Kugler kind of just couldn't hold his own against Taven Bryan. And not really much room for Chris Evans. He's busted a couple long runs, but so far, not a lot of running room for him.
Michigan lines up in the offset eye with Poggi at fullback, Evans at running back, Crawford to the right, Donovan Peoples-Jones to the left. Handoff is to Evans. Evans runs up middle. He has some room, and he dives forward for what's close to a first down. Looks like we might have a measurement. He might be a bit short, but a big run by Evans.
And Michigan's not throwing. It looks like they're content to run the clock out and go into the halftime with this deficit.
Evans brings it to a 3rd and 1 as Michigan looks to convert this 3rd down. Khalid Hill now in the game at fullback. This is the power eye. Spate under center. Hands it off to Hill, and Hill bulls forward for a first down. Khalid Hill led the team with 13 touchdowns last year, mostly in short yard situations like that, and he converts for the Wolverines.
They're going no huddle. Michigan does have a timeout to use. Maybe now they're going to try a shot deep.
20 seconds left in the game. The clock's still ticking. Spate in the shotgun, and he's going to hand it off to Ty Isaac, who breaks the tackle. He's loose, and he's eventually brought down by Duke Dawson for a gain of about 8 yards. Clock is ticking down, and it looks like Michigan will go in the half. We'll end the game, end the half here, and walk into the locker room without any further damage. And that's it for our first half of the AdvoCare Classic in Dallas, Texas. The 17th ranked Florida Gators 17 and the 11th ranked Michigan Wolverines 13. Any final thoughts before we close things out?
Yeah, I think that so far this really been, the scoreboard doesn't really tell how much Michigan's offense has dominated this game. They have moved the ball pretty well against Florida. However, 2 bad turnovers. We led to 2 Florida pick sixes, and that has been the difference so far. And Florida really has to be even have a lead in this game. And so Michigan's defense is really not left it. Defense has played incredibly well so far, and that is really, we'll see what happens second half. Michigan reduce the turnovers. The defense continue playing well. I think Michigan can take the lead and win this game, but so far Florida going with the lead at halftime.
And that's going to be it for the first half at AT&T Stadium. I'm Will Yang, and Jeff Chan was with me, and we're going to start off with Austin Falco and Evan Oesterle with 10 minutes left to go in 10 minutes left to go in halftime for our halftime show. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of WCBN Student Sports Radio. I'm Evan Oesterle. Joining me is Austin Falco, and we will be with you for the remainder of the game. Michigan trailing 17-13 at halftime will receive the ball in the second half. Austin, after a great start to this game, Michigan led 10-3 after a 46-yard touchdown pass from Wilton Spate to Tariq Black, and then it kind of imploded after that.
Yeah, like you said, it was just a couple mistakes there, kind of an implosion by the offense. Michigan had this game completely in control, and if you look at the scoreboard, you'd think Michigan was well ahead in this game. They're outgaining Florida 191 yards to 91 at the half, completely dominating, surprisingly on the offensive side of the ball, and perhaps less so surprisingly on the defensive side of the ball as well. Even with all the question marks, Michigan's playing well. They got to put those mistakes that they've made, specifically the 2 interception returns for touchdowns, out of their mind and get back to just playing that physical brand of football, especially on that front 7. We expected them to be good, and they have been, led by Devin Bush so far, who at the half has just been a star on the defensive side of the ball. He's got 4 tackles, a sack, and a couple tackles for loss in there, making his presence known, along with, of course, the stalwart up the middle, Maurice Hurst. He's got a couple tackles and a tackle for loss as well, and he's also drawn a holding call, a critical holding call, on that long run called back at the end of the second quarter. Michigan will start on offense, though, and just keep running the ball the way they have, especially behind that left side of the line that's been able to get some push. The right side's been a little suspect, but when they go to that left side, they've had success.
I mean, it really felt like Michigan was totally in control of the game, and then all of a sudden, a couple bad throws, and momentum completely shifted. Eddie Pinheiro getting ready to kick off to the Wolverines.
And Pinheiro so far today, Michigan has yet to return a kick. Kakoa Crawford's been back there every time. He looks a little disappointed when he has to walk forward, watch one go over his head and through the back of the end zone. He's not making the same mistake that freshman Donovan Peoples-Jones made on that last punt, and he's fielded the ball several times deep in his own territory inside his 10. Kakoa Crawford making sure it doesn't happen, and Michigan's going to start at the 25 pretty much every drive.
No doubt Pinheiro has a strong leg as he kicks off again, and this will be a touchback as well. So the Wolverines will take the ball at the 25-yard line. As far as keys for this offense, is it really just limiting mistakes? I mean, it seemed like they had success aside from those turnovers.
I really think limited mistakes, it's got to be the way to go right now. They've proven that they can move the ball on this tough Florida defense. Milton Spate and John Alcorn combined for 95 yards passing, not outstanding, but when they look like down on the ground, they've matched that with 95 yards there too.
Spate is in the game at quarterback. Chris Evans to his left. 3 receivers. Spate changing the play at the line. Spate drops back. He's throwing. Looking deep. Down the sideline, and it is out of bounds. Not enough space there for Peoples-Jones to make the catch. Good coverage.
And an early adjustment seemed made here by Michigan. Spate dropped back for that one, and Evans immediately went over to help out on the right side. They didn't even bother having right tackle Nathan Ulizio, who struggled today, blocked the defensive end for Florida. They said, I believe it was Sean McEwen over there. And it was a double team with the tight end and the running back trying anything here to get Spate some time to throw downfield.
Spate this time lining up. Evans behind him, receivers to the left and right. 2 tight end formation. Spate fakes to Evans. He's going to throw, looking, and he's got his man. That's Sean McEwen. Close to a first down. And it looks like it will be 3rd down and short. Nope, they're moving the chains now. 1st down, Michigan.
And great effort there by McEwen. Got the legs cut out from under him, but just kept fighting, dive forward, make sure to get that ball across that 35-yard line and keep the chains moving.
Strong formation here for Spade as Khalid Hill's in the game. Again, a play action. And again, finds Sean McEwen, a gain of about 6 yards.
Michigan's come out 3 straight pass plays. Spate didn't connect on the first one, but they're obviously trying to get him in some sort of rhythm here to start the half. Probably to try to avoid falling into that pitfall they did back in the first half where Spate looked a little wobbly, threw a couple passes high. I want to get him in the zone and locked in early on here.
Sophomore Sean Meckian with a couple good out routes to get the chains moving. 2nd and 5 now. About 1 minute into the quarter, and we have a penalty flag before the play. Delay of game on the offense. That'll be 5 yards. It'll be 2nd and 10. Some miscommunication there by the Wolverine offense with the sideline. Looked like Spate didn't even know that it was close.
Yeah, no one on the field really seemed to know exactly that play clock was running down, and just as I was talking about getting Spate locked in and in a groove here. Momentary setback here on 2nd down. Stuck in 2nd and long here. Just got to get some yardage back, make it 3rd and manageable.
So 2nd down and 10 here. Clock running. Spate alone in the backfield. 5 wide receivers split out. Spate takes a snap, drops back, looking, firing, right away complete. And that is Grant Perry for a gain of about 7. It'll be 3rd down and short.
Just a little out route there from Perry. He hasn't played a whole lot in this game, but when he's done, he's doing a great job of those little intermediate routes getting open for his quarterback.
Spate on 3rd down. Quick snap, quick throw. It's Perry. And not sure if he got there. Looked like he gained about a yard, and they needed 2.
Just I mentioned Grant Perry getting open. Looks like he stretches, but
It
great
does.
play made there by C.J. Henderson. It looks short to me. I can't quite tell from the spot.
Half yard maybe left to go. I think his knee was down. They're going to go for it on 4th and 1. The Wolverines from their own 45. The handoff. Got the first down and more. To the outside is Ty Isaac across the 40-yard line to the 36 of Florida. And safety Nick Washington finally forced him out.
And just after we were talking about a great tackle made by C.J. Henderson, he gets his ankles broken here by Isaac. It was a one-on-one on the outside. Isaac bounced that run outside and made a great move to get around Henderson to the sideline and pick up a big first down there.
Isaac's vision has been excellent when he gets the ball. So 1st and 10 now from the Florida 36. Spate's going to fake to Karan Higdon. Looking deep, got time, and he just throws it away.
I'm not sure if that ball was hit or what happened there. He spiked that one right into the ground.
C.C. Jefferson brought the pressure right there. And Spate had all day long, but the coverage was just too good, and C.C. Jefferson did get a hand on the ball. Not sure if Khalid Hill would have even made anything happen with that pass. Might have been honestly good that it got knocked down. So 2nd and 10 now. Ball on the Florida 38. Spate's got 3 receivers to his right. Karan Higdon to his left. Takes a snap. He's going to throw. He's looking downfield. He's got a man, and it's Grant Perry again down to the 10-yard line. Grant Perry making a huge impact right now.
And a beautifully placed throw there by Wilton Spate. Perry made the move to come just on the inside there of the safety, Chauncey Gardner. And just, he could not have put it in a better spot than Spate did. The only spot he could have put it to get a completion.
Hurry up offense here now, just outside the 10-yard line. Spate gives Higdon down inside the 5-yard line to the 3-yard line. Again, running at Nick Washington. These Wolverines backs making plays happen, and Michigan moving the ball. It'll be 2nd down and 4 from the 4-yard line. Again, hurrying up here. Spate, Higdon to his left, gives to Higdon. Higdon, touchdown, Michigan! Wolverines back on top.
Great cutting there by Higdon. The last 2 plays, he look at the play was destined to go right. He cut back. The first was designed, led by the big man, Michael Owenu on there. This time it was led by the senior captain, Mason Cole, and the left guard, Ben Bredesen, just opening up a gaping hole there for Higdon to cut through and made it look easy. Put the Wolverines out in front here.
Huge response by Michigan coming out of halftime with a great touchdown drive. Moore's the hold. Norton's extra point is up and good. Michigan leads 20-17 following a 3-minute, 7-second, 75-yard touchdown drive.
Opened the first half. Their first drive took 14 plays, a 7-minute drive. This one very different. They hurried down the field. They saw a mismatch. It may have been Nick Washington, the safety. We mentioned his name a couple times on that drive. I don't know if they saw something there. They wanted to run at him.
And again on the touchdown, every single one of those run plays. And Karan Higdon finally getting into the game, and he makes a big impact right away.
Yeah, Karan Higdon, like you said, finally getting into the game. His first couple carries of the ball game. Made him count there. 3 attempts, 9 yards, and a touchdown. Pretty efficient. And the Michigan running game just continuing to really put together an impressive showing here. I did not expect that, especially with the questions on the Michigan offensive line. The two main questions we really had coming into this game were the Michigan offensive line as well as the Michigan secondary. And so far, aside from a couple plays from the right side of the line look pretty weak, they've been able to get that push up front, currently averaging 4.5 yards a carry against a stout Florida defense. And now we'll see that defense back on the field that's just been dominating all day long.
Junior wide receiver Grant Perry ended up missing 3 games with a suspension last season. In the spring camp and most of summer this season, he had an incident in East Lansing during Michigan's bye week last October. The legal process took almost 6 months in total, and there were questions about whether he would be eligible to play for the team, whether Harbaugh would leave him on the team. He ended up taking a lesser charge in his case. We don't need to get into that at the moment, but he's certainly having an impact on this game.
Yeah, specifically that drive, 3 catches on that drive. The first couple were just little out routes. He's able to get open, provide a little safety valve for his quarterback on the seam route up the middle. Nice little, just barely gave a little shoulder tug out and then came right over the middle, like I said, right in front of the safety there. It was Chauncey Gardner and made a great grab out in front of him. State put it on the money, and once they got in the red zone, they just hurried up, and Karan Higdon took over. And finally, Wolverines able to convert down there. They weren't able to do so earlier on. And the only touchdown so far was that, or the only touchdown to that point had been the long 46-yard bomb to Tariq Black. So it's got to be reassuring for the Wolverines to know when they get in close, they can trust that O-line to get some push and trust their skill position players to really punch it in, get them back in this game and out in front in this game.
Florida has just 91 yards and 4 first downs in the game. And of those 91 yards, 65 came on 2 pass plays. Michigan's defense has done an excellent job shutting them down. So it really feels like the offense just needs to limit its mistakes.
Yeah, one thing perhaps helping the Michigan defense is Felipe Franks, the freshman in there, hasn't attempted a whole lot of passes. He's only attempted 8 on the game. He's 5 for 8 for 75 yards. So the secondary might be an issue for Michigan, but that front 7 is just so good.
He doesn't have time.
Exactly.
We'll see if they get more pass attempts. So the second half kickoff right now for the Wolverines, and this one is going to be returned once again by the Gators and hit again at the 14-yard line. And Michigan might have the ball. The ball came out. No signal yet. Looks like Ambry Thomas is underneath there, and he does have the football. Still no signal. Still no signal from the refs. It is Michigan football. Ambry Thomas.
It looked like Josh Ross on the hit there. He put the helmet to the ball. Textbook hit right there. Popped that ball out, and Ambry Thomas on the spot to jump on that ball. Stayed aware. Played through the whistle after.
And Tyree Cleveland, the sophomore receiver, lost that. Ambry Thomas got right on it. And based on that sequence earlier in the first half with the back-to-back pick sixes, this feels like an equally big momentum swing for the Wolverines. It'll be 1st and 10 at the Florida 15-yard line.
Real quick, want to get the right credit there. It looked like Shanley and Thomas himself actually were able to knock that ball loose.
Spate in the I formation. One receiver out to his right. Takes the snap. Gives. Karan Higdon got about 2 yards right there. Excuse me, Chris Evans was back in the game. So about a 2-yard gain for Chris Evans. 2nd down and 7.
Michigan's got a very favorable run formation in there. 3 tight ends, Wheatley, Hill. There's more of an H back there.
Still
and Bunting.
Strong formation. Spate scrambling, throwing, looking, running out of options, and he'll just throw it away. Smart decision by Wilton Spate.
Yeah, just we were mentioning a power run formation there. Michigan decides to go with a little rollout pass. They've broken it out a couple times today, and Kalidaho just hasn't quite been able to get open on that play. Notably, we saw him do so in the Orange Bowl last year against Florida State. Looks like Florida's been scouting for that exact scenario where Hill leaks out of the backfield.
Yeah, they've had him covered every time. So 3rd down and 7 now from the Florida 12-yard line. Wilton Spate lining up in the shotgun. 3 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. Spate rushing, trying to get the snap off. Does get it off. He's throwing. Lobs it up. Back corner of the end zone. It was Crawford. Looks like he caught it but out of bounds. Incomplete pass. It'll be 4th down.
Yeah, and just an overthrow there by Spate. Took a hit, so maybe tossed it just a bit too high. He had Crawford on a little wheel route towards the back corner of the end zone. Really a great grab by Crawford. Just ran out of real estate over there in that back right corner.
So Quinn Norton will attempt his 3rd field goal of the game. He is 2 for 2 so far today, including a 55-yarder. This one just 30 yards. Snap good. Morris gets it down. Norton up and good. Wolverines lead 23-17 now. 11:05 to go in the 3rd quarter.
Not even 4 minutes into this half and a 10-point swing on the scoreboard, exactly the way Michigan wanted to come out. Their defense hasn't even been on the field yet in this half. When we were talking about that's the strongest part of the team and had the strongest showing in the first half of the ball game.
Yeah, the offense really hurt the defense with turnovers, blowing the lead that they were holding pretty well. But now the offense starting to get it going a little bit. Not much going there after the turnover, but in terms of ideal starts for a half, it doesn't get much better for the Wolverines.
I mean, obviously Michigan would have liked to convert there in the red zone again, but you're not going to do it every time. You just had that. Your offense maybe a little bit tired out there. You got the big guys trying to plow some holes down. Like we said, we had those big tight end formations. Really interested to see how many different personnel groupings Michigan's had today. We kind of expected it coming in. We said there are maybe 5 different tight ends we could see on the field and up to about 7 wide receivers. And it seems like we've seen them all in some sort of mismatched formation one way or another. On that last play just there, Zach Gentry was the one split out to the left. I thought they might try to get a one-on-one matchup between him and the smaller cornerback C.J. Henderson out there. Opted to go the other way to Donovan Peoples-Jones, but you can see Harbaugh really trusting all the young guys, getting them in there, getting them in those one-on-one situations that he believes they can win and can make an impact on this game.
We talked about this at halftime, but the left side of Michigan's offensive line with Mason Cole and Ben Bredesen has been really good on run plays, pass plays, both. The right side has struggled. Nolan Ulzio on the outside at right tackle, and Michael Unweno, who actually got subbed out for a few plays for actually a full series. They've struggled a little bit more.
Yeah, they have struggled, specifically like you said, Nate Ulizio over there, but Michigan so far, you notice all the runs are over to that left side, it seems like, or at least they're trying to make a conscious effort to run behind that left side of the line, and when they do decide to go towards the right, it looks like they're more rolling out towards the right if they do, playing off that play action to that left side. But that's really the basis of the offense right now. We'll have to see if that improves against maybe inferior competition, because that Florida front seven is good. Michigan's able to really gash them, just shows how good, especially left tackle Mason Cole is out there. But definitely the one question mark still out there as of right now on the offense here, with about a half or so down in the season.
James Fugg has been handling the kickoffs today, and he will handle another one right here. If Florida gets the ball, maybe they can get Felipe Frank some more pass attempts, but they have to not fumble on the kickoff for that to happen. Fugg's kickoff a little bit deeper this time will not be returned. So Florida will have the ball at their own 25-yard line, trailing by 6.
Yeah, Florida with a chance to answer here, and you have to think right about now, Florida has to answer all that momentum that we saw. Florida kind of gained there in the first half, swings right back over to Michigan's side. If Florida can answer at least with a field goal here and stay within keep it a 3-point game maybe at the very least, I'm sure they feel good about their chances.
So it'll be Franks with running back Mark Thompson behind him. Receivers to his left and his right. Tight ends to his left and his right. Franks gonna fake, looking downfield, firing deep right away, and almost intercepted by Lavert Hill. Went right through his hands, but still an excellent play. Good coverage right there.
And you see these defensive backs early on. They're young for Michigan, but they're playing exactly the way defensive backs coach Mike Zordich wants them to play. They're in that receiver's back pocket, and even though it seems like they're beat just a little bit, they're able to recover there and use their athleticism to make a difference, break up some passes, and not get burned as much as perhaps we anticipated from a speedy wide receiver core like Florida.
Josh Hammond, the intended receiver there. Frank's now still with Thompson in the backfield. He will give to Thompson. Thompson makes a move, cuts up, got about 6 yards right there, so it will be 3rd down and 4.
We talked about the left side of Michigan's line, the left side of Florida's line really coming through there. It looked like the center for the Gators, TJ McCoy, I was able to release and go through that left side. It's a weird, almost like a pulling center. He's able to go through, clear out some space there and help pick up 6 yards.
3rd down and 4. Frank's in the shotgun. Thompson to his left. Now he's going under center. Back to the shotgun. 3 receivers to his right. 3rd down and 4. Brings a man in motion. It's Brandon Powell. Franks takes a snap. Looking. He scrambles. He's going to get the 1st down. No, he's going to be short. The ball came out. And the Wolverines have it again. Another turnover.
That was Josh Metellus there on the strip. It looked like Lawrence Marshall was in pursuit and wasn't going to catch Felipe Franks. He did not. Metellus shoved off his man. He was getting blocked pretty well by the wide receiver. I didn't quite catch who it was. But he literally threw the wide receiver aside, went after Franks, and Franks just lost the ball.
I mean, Franks needed that extra yard, and he'd go for it, and Metellus, what an excellent tackle. He would have stopped him regardless. And then diving in there at the last second on the ball.
So for the second play in a row, Michigan's secondary, it's Lawrence Marshall that ended up getting the recovery. He was the one trailing Franks. The second play in a row, Michigan's young secondary making a play there and keeping momentum in favor of the Wolverines.
So Michigan ball at the Florida 37. Spate going to hand it off right away. It's Chris Evans, brought down for a loss of about 4.
And just no room on that right side. It looked like, once again, I don't mean to pick on him here, but Nate Ulizio on that right side was on his knees there, just got flat out beat by that Florida defensive line.
So we saw 2 back-to-back interceptions in the first half really hurt Michigan. 2 fumbles in a row for the Florida Gators have put them into a little bit of a hole here.
Right side for the Gators. Michigan still around midfield, though. There's a chance to stop and get the ball back.
2nd and 12, Spate in the shotgun. Dropping back, looking to throw, looking over the middle and through the hands of Crawford. The throw was behind him.
And that was Jaquie Polite came on a little stunt there on the left side of the line, got mixed up. We haven't seen that a whole lot today with Bredesen and Cole, but
Spate had time. I mean, he just missed that throw. He's got to be better than that. Spate has Isaac to his left. 2 receivers to his left. 1 to his right. Taking the snap on 2nd and 12. Gives. Ty Isaac. Isaac with space. Isaac makes a move. Got about 8 yards, so it'll be 3rd down and 4. Chauncey Gardner got the stop there. 3rd down and 5.
It's 4th down now.
4th down.
Looks like you have an injury on the field, though, but Michigan, the little 3rd down drop play worked in the first half, ended up breaking off a long run for Isaac.
Chauncey Gardner is the injured player. He made the stop. He is down. Not sure what the issue is, but it's 4th and 6 from the Florida 33. Quinn Norton made a longer field goal than this in the first half, but they could send the offense back out. It's a pretty big spot right here in this football game.
Yeah, it's one of those in-between spots where you could really go either way. Wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing if they decide to kick the field goal.
Put them up 2 scores, 9 points.
It would put up 2 scores there. At the same time, you almost want to be greedy as an offense, and it doesn't look like Harbaugh. Can't quite tell what Harbaugh's doing based on the personnel out there right now. It looks like the long snapper Cameron Cheeseman about to come on the field, so it looks like a field goal attempt, but you could easily justify going for it here. You're in plus territory. It's about a 4th and 5, maybe a 4th and 6. Michigan had a play in the playbook. They felt really confident about getting those 5 yards.
Garrett Moore is coming out on the field. They're going to kick this field goal. It's going to be a 50-yard attempt for Quinn Norton, his 4th of the day. He made a 55-yarder earlier. Chauncey Gardner still down receiving attention. Can't tell if it's a leg or what. He's not holding anything, but
hopefully for his sake, just cramping. It looks like they're trying to get him some food.
looks like
Maybe
his
some
right
water.
leg is cramping up. So Chauncey Gardner, Florida's starting safety, opposite Nick Washington, dealing with some leg cramps. And he is coming off the field, limping heavily. Quinn Norton's going to come on and attempt a 50-yard field goal. Correction, 49-yard field goal.
And it looks like it will be right on the 40-yard line. So I think you're right there with the 50-yarder.
Right hash. Good snap, good hold. Norton's kick is up, bending in, and Quinn Norton is 4 for 4. It started to the right, but another great kick by Quinn Norton.
And Quinn Nordine showing why he was the #1 ranked kicker in the country. 4 for 4 today, 2 for 2 on kicks of 50-yard plus. Michigan up, like you said, 2 scores now. On the strength of those 2 turnovers. Huge swing here in the second half. 13 unanswered here for the Wolverines, rather 16 if you want to go back to the first half. Just a great response here from Jim Harbaugh's team, though I don't think we really expected anything less.
No, Jim Harbaugh really got the guys going at halftime. And you look at a guy in Quinn Norton, he redshirted his freshman year last year behind senior Kenny Allen, who started slow but ended up having a really good season. Brad Robbins, the freshman punter, has not even punted once for the Wolverines. And then Quinn Norton, the redshirt freshman kicker, looks like they'll be able to replace Kenny Allen.
Yeah, and I think it was actually Will Hart had the only punt attempt on that was blocked, but Michigan doing a great job having to avoid the punt team. On one hand, the 2 pick sixes are a part of that.
Yeah.
On the other hand, just doing a really good job moving the ball on offense, at least getting it into field goal range. We've seen it's at least 55 yards for Quinn Nordine.
Head coach Jim McElwain of the Florida Gators earlier this week critical of Jim Harbaugh's quote-unquote antics. Some of those antics include sleepovers at recruits' houses, and that ended up actually getting the Wolverines' Quinn Norton over Penn State. I think Harbaugh's probably pretty satisfied with that decision right now.
I'd say so. I said the antics really paying off right now, especially in this ballgame. And you and I talked, we mentioned just a little bit pregame, the maize uniforms from Michigan coincidentally started to come out right about game week, perhaps a little more antics on the part of Jim Harbaugh to kind of take the attention away from his team, kind of take some pressure off a very young Michigan team and jerseys themselves, which I have to admit here about a half in, I'm kind of warming up to them, Evan.
Yeah, everything looks better with a bigger Michigan score on the scoreboard.
Hard to argue that one.
See what this young defense does again after a really good series. I mean, regardless of the fumble, it looked like Metlis had stopped Felipe Franks. This defense has given up just 103 yards so far, 4 first downs for the Gators.
Yeah, like you said, the young defense doing a great job out there so far today. Really can't complain about anything we've seen on that side of the ball.
And we can give you some quick updates on scores from around the country before this upcoming kickoff.
We got some conference scores here for you. Penn State winning by a score of 52-0 over Akron. Maryland upsetting 23rd ranked Texas by a score of 51-41 in Austin. Illinois squeaked out a win over Ball State 24-21. We'll get you some more on our next TV timeout as it looks like we're ready to resume here in Arlington.
About to kick it off here. And a high kick, not as long. We'll see if it's brought up by Cleveland. He fumbled last time. He will bring it out. Hit around the 10, but he got out of it up to the 25 and the 26. Initially, it looked like Michigan was going to give another good stop on the kickoff return, but he juked his way through to the 26 or 27-yard line.
Yeah, just kept really powering through arm tackles from Michigan. It looked like maybe Michigan getting a little overzealous there after forcing a couple fumbles. They were really trying to go for the ball rather than making the good sound wrap-up tackles, and ended up resulting in about 5 to 10 extra yards for Florida.
So this Gator offense will take over, but it's Malik Zaire, Florida's first quarterback change of the game, coming at a time when they need a big momentum swing. It's Malik Zaire, the transfer from Notre Dame, in for Felipe Franks. And on his first play, he hands off to Mark Thompson, who gains
about 2 yards by falling forward. I don't think Felipe Franks has been that bad throwing the ball. He's been under pressure, but he really hasn't. Perhaps maybe trying to get a little more elusiveness here out of the
more experienced guy in there.
Exactly.
They're running a hurry-up offense. Here's there again. Another does not hand it off. Keeps it on the read option, and he's hit right away. Loses about 3 yards. Tyree Cannell got there first.
Yeah, and that's the dimension that Zaire brings to the offense. First 2 plays, both read options. He handed off the first time. This time, Mike McCray stayed home. Wasn't the one to make the tackle, but forced Zaire to make a move against him and allow time for
the safeties.
Tyree Cannell to fly up there.
The safeties, Cannell and Metlis, brought him down, but Mike McCray really sealing off that edge. That's textbook defense on the read option. Wolverine fans getting loud here. Malik Zaire in the game. 3rd down and 10 for the Gators. Mark Thompson to his right. 2 receivers to his right. 2 receivers to his left. Zaire. And the play clock is getting low, and it looks like the Gators are going to have to burn their first time out of the half.
And that could prove costly. And what so far has been a close game. Having used a timeout this early here, not even halfway through the 3rd quarter. Perhaps maybe the quarterback switch doesn't quite have Florida all on the same page on offense.
No, interesting time to do it. So when Jordan Scarlett got suspended this week, becoming the 10th Florida player to get suspended, LaMichael Perrine, the cousin of former Oklahoma running back and now Washington Redskins running back Samaj Perrine, was the expected starter. He was the number 2 rusher last year. He has just 5 carries for 1 yard from the first half, but he hasn't played at all this half. It's been all Mark Thompson.
Yeah, not quite sure what kind of message they're trying to send. Maybe the problems in pass protection have perhaps stemmed back to that running back position, maybe missing some assignments. We couldn't quite tell from up here. It looked like it was just Michigan's defensive line doing what they do best and just dominating the overmatched Florida offensive line.
3rd and 10 now. Same exact formation for the Gators, same formation for the Wolverines. Zaire takes the snap. Pressure coming from the Wolverines. Zaire trying to get outside with Sean Gary all over him. A great throw by Zaire. Hauled in, but it looks like he was out of bounds.
And you talk about the just immense talent on the defensive side of the ball for Michigan. And for Sean Gary right there, putting it into action. Most defensive ends will not trail a quarterback all the way to the sideline like he did. He trailed him all the way from that left hash all the way out to the sideline with step by step with the speedy Zaire and ended up forcing that incompletion. And once again, nice coverage over there by Tyree Cannell. Maybe a step slow, but was able to make the hit and knock the ball loose.
For a guy in Rashawn Gary who's 6'5", 281, I mean, he really moves. The Florida punt here, deep back to Donovan Peoples-Jones. And he did not call a fair catch, reverses field. He's still on his feet. Peoples-Jones making moves. And he got about 7 yards on that return. He's looked a bit elusive, but made some questionable decisions receiving these punts.
And I will say, if this keeps up all year, Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to give me a heart attack.
But he might also break a few touchdowns.
That's true. Could be a good heart attack. Who knows? But so far, he has fielded some questionable punts, made a decision, almost fielded that one going backwards and decided to spin around and try to make something out of it here. Questionable decisions, but I can't really argue when they're working out when he's breaking tackles and making moves, putting the Wolverines in some favorable field position.
So just over halfway through this 3rd quarter, the Wolverines take over at their own 28. Spate, another weak running back formation this time. He's going to fake. It's play action. Spate looking, throwing, and he's got his man once again. That is number 82.
That's Devin Eubanks out there with his first catch of the ball game. We saw him come in to block a little bit earlier on, but now making an impact as a receiver.
Nick Eubanks. Lots of tight ends being used so far for the Wolverines already. Ian Bunting, Tyrone Wheatley, Sean Mickian, and Nick Eubanks have all seen playing time, as well as former tight end Zach Gentry, who's converted to receiver. Spate in the I formation, hands off right away, and about a 1 yard gain right there for Chris Evans.
Yeah, not much room to run, and once again behind that right side of the line, just doesn't quite have the same push. They got a good initial push, but it actually was a tight end Bunting that got thrown down by the man he was supposed to be blocking, kind of got in Chris Evans' way, prevented him from making one of those quick twitch moves in the hole that we see a lot out of Chris Evans and made him so effective.
Chris Evans
has had a lot of action today. 16 carries for 56 yards. It'll be Spade on 2nd down and 8 now in the shotgun. 2 receivers to his right. Takes a snap, had trouble with it.
Looks like Ulizio jumped early there.
And it is a false start on number 70, Nick Ulizio. He has really struggled today. Nolan Ulizio, excuse me.
And perhaps those struggles getting in his head a bit. He tried to get a little bit of a head start there, tried to get up to that 2nd level, and looked like he was going to do so effectively. Looked like Florida might be slashing down towards the inside of the line on his side.
So 2nd down and 13 now. Spate in the gun. Takes the snap. Another play action. Looking. Got time. Throwing deep, but just kind of throwing it away in the general direction of Tariq Black. Duke Dawson on the coverage. Pressure from all over, but he's had time. There's just nobody getting open. It looks like Florida's secondary has adjusted after those interceptions built some momentum. They've been really good in coverage ever since.
Yeah, that almost looked like only a 2-man route. The receivers on the right side of the formation looked to be blocking there. Isaac went out for a little route over the middle, and the only other route really being run was Crawford, who was covered. Spate threw it away.
5 of 13 on 3rd down so far. Spate takes a snap and a little draw play right here to Ty Isaac. And Isaac makes a move, and he got the 1st down. Another 3rd down run for a 1st down by Ty Isaac, and he is having himself a day. Got about 14 yards on that carry.
So it looks like Jim Harbaugh's new favorite weapon is the 3rd down and long Ty Isaac draw play. You can add that to the Khalid Hill short yardage fullback dive. There's looked to be a couple of staples here in the Jim Harbaugh offense. I think that's a new wrinkle.
That's the 4th time they've done it and the 3rd time that it's worked. 1st down just across midfield. Spate now in I formation. 1 receiver to his right. That's Zach Gentry coming in motion. And the toss to Karan Higdon. Higdon jumps over, gains a yard, still on his feet. Got about 3 yards right there, and a good tough run by Karan Higdon.
Yeah, it looked like it might have been the right tackle, Ulizio again. I got to see the replay here. But got out, did a really nice job of being mobile and getting out in space. Cut down the cornerback. Unfortunately, the cornerback was able to get his feet up, I guess, in the process of falling down. Accidental, no tripping there, but held up Higdon just enough to prevent a big gain.
Nick Washington finally got to him. So Spate now hands off to Higdon again, and he was originally brought down, but he breaks free and out of the outside, and he ends up gaining 3 yards instead of losing 3. Excellent move by Karan Higdon. Sean Davis got to him.
Nice job there by Higdon. It looked,
but C.C. Jefferson had the play in the backfield, but arm tackles don't work when you get to the college and pro level. And C.C. Jefferson, a very talented young player, just a freshman, but he's going to have to learn to bring guys down. 3rd and 4 now for the Wolverines. Spate in the shotgun. 3 receivers to his right. Takes a snap. Looking, he's hit as he throws. Complete. Good pressure right there from this Gator defense.
Yeah,
Grant Perry, the intended receiver.
Gators sent 7 on that play. Just overmashed Michigan there. Looked like Chris Evans in the backfield. Not exactly the biggest guy trying to pass protect back there. It was number 92, it looked like. Jabari Zuniga was able to pull. He was going wide around the outside, but Mason Cole has just been so solid all day. He trailed him all the way. He's able to dip inside one of his other blitzing Gators.
So the Wolverines will not go for it on 4th down and 4. Will Hart will try to pin the Gators deep. A nice high punt. Fair catch signal, and it'll be down at the 7.
And I get trying to fair catch there when you want to prevent the ball from maybe rolling down inside the 1 yard line, but it didn't look like there was a Michigan player that was going to be able to get down there and stop that at the 1. Maybe a questionable decision there to fair catch that one. We'll have to see how it ends up there.
The Michigan football program, an incredible one throughout the years, winningest program in the history of college football. But before today, no kicker in program history had ever made 2 field goals of 50-plus yards in the same game. Quinn Norden a 55-yarder in the first half and a 50-yarder earlier this half, becomes the first in program history to do so.
Quite the debut for the redshirt freshman kicker.
So Zare starts out from the 7, hands off to Thompson, who goes forward for about 3.5 yards. Florida really needs to get something going on offense here.
Yeah, it looked like they added another wrinkle there. It almost looked like a triple option is what they were running there from Zare. He ended up handing the ball off, but had another outlet running off to the left side with him.
Second down and 7 now from the 10-yard line. Zare with Perrine behind him, 3 receivers to his left. He is the left-handed quarterback. Zare takes the snap, looking, pressure coming right away. Drops a little screen pass off to Hammond. Hammond gets close to the first down mark, and he does get the first down by about 1.5 yards. So Florida's first down of the second half comes on a screen pass to Josh Hammond.
And I would say they caught Michigan in a blitz, but it seems like Michigan is always blitzing when Don Brown's calling the plays. Really nice job there by Devin Bush, flying over from the middle of the field to, at the very least, try to slow down and corral the receiver on that play.
Not a bad play call at all right there from either side. It just happened to be that Michigan was bringing the house. So 1st and 10 now from the Gators from right around their 20-yard line. Zare in a pistol formation. Takes a snap, rolling right, looking deep, and overthrew Tyree Cleveland, who wanted pass interference, but that was just an overthrow right there.
And Zare looked like he had the screen to Thompson if he threw it a little bit quicker. Michigan realized and recovered, particularly Mike McCray and Chase Winovich. They stopped in their paths and sprinted back towards the running back. There were 3 blockers, 1 running back, and no one from Michigan on that side of the field. Just a questionable decision there by Zare to end up trying to throw back to his receiver running right.
Malik Hudson brought pressure, playing that Viper role that Jabril Peppers played last season. So now 2nd down and 10 for Zare. He's going to hand off to Perrine, and he breaks through for about a 6-yard gain, setting up 3rd down and 4.
Nice run there by Perrine, fighting through those arm tackles. Like you said, arm tackles don't work so well here at the college and pro levels. Looks like Devin Bush may be able to just get a hand on him and trip him up. McCray finished him off.
Mike McCray and Carlo Kemp finally brought him down. It will be 3rd down and 4, and another crucial 3rd down for the Florida Gators. They've struggled today on 3rd downs.
Just 1 of 8 so far on the day. And I got to think they need a conversion here if they want to stay in this ballgame. Try to prevent giving that Michigan offense back on the field.
There with Thompson to his left. 2 receivers on the tight end to his right. Takes the snap, driving back. He's throwing. Looking, got time, rolling. Now finds a man downfield. And what a catch right there by Tyree Cleveland. Had to go up and get it. Just an incredible catch.
Yeah, Cleveland just a little double move there. He was on Brandon Watson. It looked like Cannell just a little bit too late with the help. And Watson did all he could try to break it up. That was out maybe a little bit in front. That could have been a long gain for a touchdown potentially.
The Michigan fans wanted it on sportsmanlike conduct after Cleveland spiked the ball, similarly to how Perry spun the ball after a big first down catch early in the game. Zare takes the snap now. Pressure comes, but he's got his man. And still going is Tyree Cleveland again. Ended up getting about 1 yard on the play. 3 targets in a row for Tyree Cleveland.
And you see the Florida offense has gotten a lot more horizontal here with Zare in the game, sending motion back and forth. It was rather vanilla, and Felipe Frankson there, perhaps a byproduct of having a redshirt freshman at the helm. Could do a little bit more when you have that 50-year senior trying to keep track of things out there.
So 2nd down and 9 now. Clock winding down in the 3rd quarter, under a minute. Zare fakes the handoff, and again he's got a receiver. This time, his tight end, Ciante Lewis. Short of the marker, it'll be 3rd down.
And Metellus was just behind the tight end there, Lewis. But Kalik Hudson flying off the edge was right in Zare's face as soon as he turned around after the play action. Made him get rid of that ball really quickly.
3rd down and 6. Only got about 2 yards on that last play. So another big 3rd down here. 10 seconds left in the quarter. We'll see if Florida does snap this or wait. Down to 5 seconds of the quarter. 4 seconds now. It looks like they are not going to snap the ball. We will head to the fourth quarter. Michigan leading 26-17. 13-0 in that quarter for the Wolverines. And we'll head to the fourth. Yeah, overall a strong quarter for Michigan. Not so much so if you're Florida. A couple turnovers leading to a couple of Michigan scores. And a 13-point third quarter is just what the doctor ordered for Michigan after really struggling to close the half. See if they can keep that up going here into the fourth here, the very first game of the season. They do have that 2-score lead, and Florida will be facing a huge third down when we come out of the break here. Like we said, only 2 of 9 on the day for Florida on third downs. This one's going to be a 3rd and 6 from Michigan's 48-yard line. Nice and easy for chain gang, and the refs there don't have to move too much to switch directions here in the quarter. So now we'll update you on a few more scores before we head to the fourth quarter. Michigan State won their debut 35-10 against Bowling Green after struggling in the first quarter. The offense got going in the middle of the game, and they held on to that. And then some live action for you from around the nation. Northwestern in a thriller with Nevada tied 17-17. But Nevada currently with the ball at the Northwestern 2, about to score and take the lead.
It looks like actually was just an interception by Nevada. Northwestern will take over at their own, too. So a chance for the mid-major there to pull the upset over Northwestern in Evanston. Elsewhere in the top 25 was like Oklahoma up by 2 scores, 21-7 in the second quarter over the University of Texas, El Paso. South Florida, the 19th ranked team in the country, tied 7-7 with Stony Brook. Clemson handled Kent State pretty easily, 56-3. The University of Miami Hurricanes with a 41-13 win over Bethune-Cookman in their opening ball game. Another live score here, Georgia and Appalachian State just kicking off for you now over in Athens.
Exciting game later tonight. One of the best opening weekend games in college football history. Number 1 Alabama facing off with number 3 Florida State.
Many people see it as a playoff preview in the exact stadium where the national championship game will be played next year, Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Brand new stadium for the Atlanta Falcons. That'll be a thriller later on tonight.
It's an 8 o'clock Eastern start, so plenty of time after the conclusion of this one to maybe grab a bite to eat and flip on over, check out that ball game.
Just moments away from starting the fourth quarter. Following this game, the Wolverines will move on to face Cincinnati at home next week, and the Florida Gators will head home to face Northern Colorado before opening conference play against Tennessee. So both teams should have opponents they can handle the next couple weeks, but once you get into Big Ten play and SEC play, there's no easy games for either team. Probably the 2 best conferences in college football. Getting ready to start the fourth quarter now. It's Florida has the ball at the Michigan 48, 3rd down and 6. Zaire takes the snap. Passes right away, and he is brought down for a sack by a swarm of Wolverines led by Devin Bush and Mo Hurst. Noah Furbush also in on the play, and Florida's going to have to punt the football.
Look like Rashawn Gary, who else also in on that play? He came flying around the left side of that defense. Really, he's the one that forced Zaire to step up in the pocket where he was met with a big heaping helping of Maurice Hurst and Lawrence Marshall. Maurice Hurst not even actually on the field on that one. It was Lawrence Marshall in the middle who's really put on some weight, was a defensive end when he came to the program, converted to tackle, and has been right in the thick of a couple plays today.
Devin Bush nearly ejected for targeting on the first play of the game has made a huge impact. Florida just gets the punt off. Peoples-Jones not going to field this one. Will land in the end zone for a touchback. So 14-10 to go in the fourth quarter, and Michigan will take over at their own 20.
You mentioned Devin Bush. We talked about him a couple times already. His 6th tackle there, his 2nd sack, 3rd tackle for loss. He has been all over the field. I venture to say the Wolverines' defensive MVP to this point, just with his ability to snuff out the ball and really shoot whatever gaps are even just a little bit available for him. He's flying through there, making plays and making life rough for whoever's back there for Florida at the quarterback position.
Spate coming out. Henry Pogge and Ty Isaac behind him in an I formation. Krakoa Crawford to his right. 1st and 10 from the 20. Spate going to give to Isaac, and Isaac's got space to the right. A good block by Crawford. Ty Isaac across the 40. 24-yard gain. Lost the football at the end, but he was down, and now he is banged up. Ty Isaac, a 24-yard run. Great blocking on the play.
And Ty Isaac really with almost a breakout performance here in the first game of the season. That'll put him over 100 yards on the ball game today and the strength of a few long ones.
Nick Washington brought him down. Sean Davis flew in the last second and knocked the ball out, but it looked like Isaac's knee was already down. Isaac had some sideline injured. Karan Higdon comes into the game. Same formation aside from that, but flipped to the left. 1st and 10. Spate now. Going to give to Higdon right up the middle for about a yard, if that.
And Higdon really didn't get a whole lot on that play, but I've been really impressed with his ability to cut in the backfield, avoid that tackler. That very easily could have been a tackle for loss there from Florida. It was the defensive end, Jabari Zuniga, flying in there from that left side of the Florida defense, the right side of the Michigan line. Higdon was able to cut left and at least get back to the line of scrimmage.
It'll be 2nd down and 9 now from the Florida 43-yard line. Higdon still in the game. Donovan Peoples-Jones and Andy McDoom now in the game. Spate's going to take the snap, fake to Higdon, looking downfield. And that's Sean Mickey in the tight end, and he's going to have a 1st down. It looked like Donovan Peoples-Jones was wide open over the middle, but Spate never looked.
Yeah, I couldn't quite tell if he was wide open. Maybe Florida was playing a zone coverage. It appeared to be man based on the way McEwen just flat out beat the linebacker. That was number 50 for Florida, Jeremiah Moon.
Zach Gentry checks in the game. Peoples-Jones will stay in. First and 10 now from the Florida 46. Spate gives to Higdon. Higdon breaks the outside. He's got space to the 40, to the 35, and knocked out of bounds. Another good run by Karan Higdon, and the Wolverines are marching down the field once again.
And just I mentioned Higdon's ability to cut in the backfield. He did it twice there. Play was supposed to go up the middle. He cut to the right, had Bredesen right in front of him who got knocked down on the play. He cut to the right again and then used the speed to get to the edge and pick up a gain of about 11 or 12 yards there, keep the chains moving for Michigan.
Wolverines have 1st and 10 at the Florida 35, threatening to make this a 2-touchdown game if they can get all the way to the end zone on this drive. Spate with Chris Evans behind him. He gives Chris Evans. Evans makes a move. It looked like he had nowhere to go, but a quick little juke, and then another gets him about 7 yards on that carry.
I think Chris Evans might be a little jealous. We keep talking about Karan Higdon's cutting ability here. Chris Evans showed why he might be the best cutting running back on this roster and one of the best in the nation with his quick twitch ability. When it looks like there's nothing there, he's able to put just the slightest of moves on a defensive lineman or a linebacker and create space for himself.
2nd down and 3 now. Pistol formation originally. Now everybody's moving over. Spate under center with Chris Evans behind him. He will give to Evans. Evans hit right away, and he's going to lose about a yard. One of the biggest questions coming into this game for the Wolverines was the offensive line. Late last season, they struggled to run the football, but today they've been excellent on the ground.
Yeah, so far, aside from runs similar to what we just saw where you go up the middle and there's just no space, they've been able to open up holes that not necessarily are gaping as we'd prefer it to be, but they are just large enough for those running backs, especially Ty Isaac and Chris Evans, to really sneak through those tiny creases and to keep the chains moving.
Wolverines averaging 5 yards per carry so far today, over 200 yards on the ground. 3rd down and 3. Spate with Isaac behind him, Pogge in a weak formation. Spate's going to throw. Looking wide open is Crawford, but Spate way overthrew him. He had all the time in the world, and Crawford was wide open. Frustrating mistake right there for Wilton Spate.
And at the 28-yard line, Quinn Norton will come out to kick his 5th field goal of the game.
Florida brought pressure. Michigan did a great job of handling it. And just a little wheel route there from Crawford. He was streaking all alone down the sideline. Wilton Spate just flat out overthrew him to the ball out of bounds. Didn't even give Crawford a chance to make a play. Disappointing end to the drive here with Quinn Nordine coming out.
This one will be about a 45-yarder and a flag right away. It might be a false start on the offense.
Looks like this one might go back over 50 yards for the 3rd time today.
It was a 45-yarder, so a 5-yard penalty would put it right at 50. And it is a false start on the Wolverines. So it'll be 4th and 8 now. This one's actually going to be a little longer. It's going to be about 52-yard field goal for Norton.
About 51 or 52 for Garrett Moore's setup.
Good snap, good hold. Norton's kick is up and just wide that time. So he misses his first career field goal. He still had a great day, 4-5, but Florida's going to take over with decent field position now.
I mean, at some point, you guys got to put the kid in a better situation. He's already made 2 over 50 yards for you. A 3rd one, they're expecting just a bit too much. Look, there was some penetration on the left side of the Wolverines' blocking scheme there. Perhaps forced Nordine to push that one just a little bit too far right and couldn't quite hook it back like he did on the last one he kicked.
10:46 to go in this 4th quarter. Florida trails by 9. They're going to get the ball at their own 34, so decent starting field position. What does Florida need to do offensively to score and get back into this football game?
Well, when Malik Zaire first came into the ball game, they did a lot of motion back and forth, perhaps trying to get that young Michigan secondary in space, try to get them a little confused. They don't, like you said, inexperience out there. Florida's got to try to capitalize on that as much as possible, put that secondary in the toughest positions they can as an offense, whether that's by moving guys back and forth across the formation, running little jet sweeps, causing just little moments of indecision in the heads of the Michigan secondary. Malik Zaire more capable of doing that than the freshman Felipe Franks. So if they can get back into a similar rhythm right about there, about just kind of going more left and right, which isn't normally something you want to say about an offense. Normally you want to be going north and south on the field, push the ball upfield, just trying to gain as much yardage as you can. Florida seems to have more success, at least today, in converting passes and as well as running the ball when they're given a little bit of horizontal movement.
So Florida takes over at the Michigan 34-yard line. Needing to get some offense going. They're running out of time here. Have not done much at all in the second half. They had just 2 first downs, in this whole half. So they're still out there. No Felipe Franks.
And that one's partly a product of a couple of fumbles preventing the Florida offense from being on the field. One thing I did notice earlier on in the ball game, and haven't quite noticed it so far in the second half of the limited time Florida offense has been out there, is Don Brown trusting these young corners, young safeties to be able to rotate the way he would with his normal defense like we saw last year with all the experience in the secondary. When receiver moves over from that left side to the right side, the safeties are stepping up in man coverage. The corners dropping back. It's a very versatile roster. We talked about it on offense, but on defense as well, just really showing that they're all athletes out there. They can all perform the jobs they're asked to do.
1st and 10 here for the Gators. Zaire takes the snap. He's going to throw. Pressure comes again, and Zaire brought down once again. This Michigan front 7 is having quite the day. Mike McCray made the play right there.
Mike McCray didn't even start the ball game. Looked like he got banged up in warm-ups, but came up the middle, almost a little bit of a delayed blitz. He was waiting to see what Zaire was going to do. As soon as Zaire stepped up in the pocket, McCray found a hole, shot through, and brought him down for a big 5-yard loss.
Malik Hudson went all the way around the tackle and forced him back into that pocket, right into the hands of Mike McCray, and Rashawn Gary had McCray not gotten there. So
it's going to look like 2 man on the field now for Florida.
2nd and 15 might become 2nd and 20, and not looking good for Florida on this possession. They did have 12 men on the field. It'll be 2nd and 20 now. Today's attendance at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, 75,802. Not quite the 110,000, 111,000 that we see at the Big House, but I'd argue it's been quite loud due to the closed-off roof.
Definitely. About a 50-50 split. Both sides really great crowds for supporting both teams. Very vocal all game long. It's a really impressive atmosphere to call a game, and I'm sure to play in for these guys on the field.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. So 2nd and 20 now, clock under 10 minutes. Zare takes a snap, throws a quick little pass, and it looks like it was complete, but only about a 2-yard gain, so it'll be 3rd down and 18 now. Devin Bush, another tackle right there.
Devin Bush, it looked like Khalid Hudson maybe in on that also. They both flew from the middle of the field out towards that sideline as soon as they saw the screen was coming.
The catch was made by Brandon Powell, senior receiver. So 3rd down and 18, closing in on 9 minutes to go in this football game. This is a tough spot for the Gators. They need to get a 1st down, but they also don't want to turn the ball over. They're trying to get his offense set.
Looks like Michigan might be bringing 5 or more.
Man in motion. Zare rolls. No pressure from the Wolverines, but coming down from behind. Zare throws downfield and knocked incomplete by Lavert Hill. Several Wolverines there in the backfield and in the secondary.
The problem, it was a great pass break up there by Lavert Hill. The problem is he broke it up from Khalid Hudson, who was just almost under it like it was a punt, ready to field that ball.
Yeah, it looked like Khalid Hudson would have been able to make that interception. Actually was getting under it like a punt, just like you said. But, I mean, I'd rather take the sure thing, the breakup right there.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like Chase Winovich really just lit up there and forced that high floating throw that picked. Instead, they'll get a chance to see if Donald Peoples-Jones can make some magic happen here on the punt return.
So Florida's being forced to punt. High snap. And it's a fake punt. Now he will punt. Did not have space at all. Peoples-Jones picks it up off the bounce to the outside, to the 20, and he ends up gaining about 10 yards. Another risky play by Donovan Peoples-Jones. He said earlier he might give you a heart attack if he keeps doing this all season long.
Believe it or not, I think I kind of like that play. The way he was moving, maybe a little bit too close to a bouncing football right there. You never know how that one's going to hop up, but he did see there was some space. A couple Florida players maybe got a little lackadaisical about to chase down that punt. Able to field it and almost broke that one. He maybe a fingertip away from finding a lot of open field on that right side.
Just one target for Peoples-Jones on offense today, but he's had quite an impact punt returning. Almost all of his returns have gone for 5 or more yards, which that's as much as you want to ask for from your punt returner.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that Jabril Peppers provided to the team besides his defense, we know about how he used to play on offense and scored a couple touchdowns there, was an impact player. And we knew he had the ability to return kicks for touchdowns. We saw it against Colorado last year and just barely missed one against Penn State. One of the biggest things, though, is he was able to field just about every single punt that went into the air. It really helped prevent Wolverines losing field position. It's a very underrated part of the game, but very important part of the game. And Donovan Peoples-Jones seems to, at the very least, be up to the task of trying to maintain that special teams excellence the Wolverines had the luxury of having in the last couple of seasons.
So the Wolverines lead 26-17, 8:45 to go in this game. They'll take over at the Florida 28-yard line. And Michigan in control. They need a few first downs, but if they can keep that run game going, looks like a good pass for the Wolverines right now.
Yeah, up by 2 scores. If you can get that clock to run down, just put together a nice little drive here. Would do wonders. Maybe chew 4 or 5 minutes off that clock if things get real tight for the Gators. Even if you're not able to score on this drive, maybe put the Gators back deep in their own territory.
They still need 2 scores. It's only 9 points, but that's still 2 scores no matter what. So
the trick is going to be avoiding mistakes. We saw earlier the 2 pick sixes. If something like that happens again, could be a very interesting finish to this one, to say the least.
Yeah, you want to be conservative. You don't want to have momentum something like that, but you also want to be aggressive and get the first downs you need to win this football game. Big spot right here for Jim Harbaugh and this young football team, their first game of the season. So out comes the offense, led by Wilton Spate. Looks like Chris Evans will start out the drive in the backfield. Krakoa Crawford, Khalid Hill joining the Wolverines out there. Also Tyrone Wheatley.
and Sean McKeon. So 3 tight ends and a fullback. You think they might be running the ball here, Austin?
I guess they're going that left side right where McKeon is motioning now.
Spate with the toss to Evans to the outside. Chris Evans got space and a first down right away, about a 13-yard run for Chris Evans, and you called it. McKeon came in motion, and they went right there.
A little pitch play to the outside. Evans using that speed. The only downside is he did go out of bounds. It's going to stop the clock here in the fourth quarter. Now they will wind it since it isn't quite late enough to be observing the clock stoppage rules.
Move the chains. Nick Washington finally brought him out, so 1st and 10 from the Florida 41 now. Chris Evans stays in the game. Spate bringing Crawford in motion. And another toss to Chris Evans. Got about 4 right there, maybe 3 on the play. So Michigan moving the ball on the ground once again on this drive.
Yeah, and it looked like a little crackback play there with Crawford coming in motion towards the defensive end. It looked like he tried to cut Jabari Zuniga, but didn't quite get enough of him, and ended up clogging things up there a bit for Chris Evans.
Ty Isaac into the game now for the Wolverines on 2nd and 7. Spate fakes, looking downfield, is going to throw it deep, and it's down the field, and it is caught. What a catch right there by Nick Eubanks, the 4th tight end for this team. They've gone to hit downfield a couple times, and that is the biggest one. Going to take the football down all the way to the Florida 8-yard line. What a throw by Wilton Spate.
And we talk about all the skill position weapons Michigan has. Add Eubanks to that list. That runs like a wide receiver. He's going to beat whatever linebackers you decide to throw on him and can deceptively fly past some of the safeties there. He flew past the safety Nick Washington, who's been picked on a few times already in the second half.
Wolverines hurry down the field. I formation. Spate fakes to Ty Isaac. Spate looking, scrambles, makes a man miss. He's going to just run it out of bounds, lose about a yard. Smart decision by Wilton Spate right there. I mean, they've used 4 tight ends. They've used 3 running backs. They've used about 10 receivers. You just always have fresh guys in the game. That's so hard to match up with defensively.
You have to study so much when you're playing these Wolverines, and it looks like as the game goes on, there's just throwing just weapon after weapon after Florida, and they're just not quite able to keep track of it and able to corral. I mean, we saw Sean McKeon very quiet in the first half. He comes out here. He's got himself 3 catches here in the second half. Eubanks has 2, as it looks like perhaps a false start there on the offensive line.
And it is going to be a false start, so it'll be second goal from the 15-yard line. And you look, these tight ends are all different heights, all different weights. Some of them are fast, some of them are stronger. And same thing with the running backs. Chris Evans is all about quickness. Ty Isaac is about vision and strength.
Yeah, it's just so many different skill sets complementing each other. That's what makes this Wolverine team so dangerous against a good team in Florida. They have a very good defense. They're number 17th ranked in the country for a reason.
Mostly because of that defense, actually. So it'll be second and goal from the 15. Spate with Isaac behind him here. Probably just try to get about 5 yards back and give themselves a chance on 3rd and goal. Spate takes a snap, gives to Isaac, and he's going to get about 2 after getting hit about a yard behind the line. So it'll be 3rd and goal from the 13, and we'll see how aggressive Jim Harbaugh is right here.
And one thing you never want to see in a run game is 3 of your offensive linemen in the backfield after a play. It means you're not getting that push up front. Michigan did not there. Isaac did a good job to at least get a couple yards out of it.
They've done well today in general getting off the ball, but not on that play right there. 3rd and goal from the Florida 13. Under 6 minutes to go now. And Florida definitely needs to hold Michigan to a field goal right here to have a chance. Spate in the shotgun with Higdon to his left. Throwing back corner of the end zone for Perry. And it looks like he overthrew it a little bit too much. It's going to be incomplete. 4th and goal coming up, 5:31 to go.
Yeah, the 3rd real just missed opportunity there from Wilton Spate on an overthrow. I was watching Grant Perry that whole play. The safety on him, Nick Washington, was giving him a corner there in the slot. Perry gave him just maybe a little shoulder move in and straight back to that far left corner. Spate not able to drop it in the bucket. Hopefully it doesn't prove too costly.
Good coverage there. So Quinn Norton will come on to attempt his 6th field goal of the game. He has 4 of 5 so far. And that kick is up, and it is no good. He misses it wide. He's missed his last 2 now, and so
Florida lucking out a little bit right there. After a great start for Quinn Norton, maybe getting into his own head just a bit here.
Really, his last 3 kicks have just stayed right on him. They haven't been able to come back. The 50 or 51-yarder he made as the last one he made, his 4th field goal, it was right all the way and barely hooked inside that right goalpost. Meanwhile, the 52-yarder he missed stayed right. That little chip shot there, not able to hook it back over to the left. Something to work on here for the redshirt freshman. I mean, it's hard to expect perfection.
Certainly
even if he is the
an
number
excellent
one.
game, making 2 50-yard field goals, but Florida will take over at the Michigan 20.
And this is probably the biggest drive of the game. Now, we say every time Florida's on the field, oh, this is big, this is big, this is big. But the later the game gets.
If they don't move the ball here, I mean, they need 2 possessions. There's only 5 minutes and 26 seconds on the clock. We've said it all this half, really, they need to get something going. But at this point, they literally will not have a chance if they don't get some points on this drive.
It'll be interesting to see what Don Brown decides to do here. If he decides to keep the pressure up on Malik Zaire. We'll see if Florida maybe tries to combat that pressure that we saw really get to him the last couple of drives. Maybe throw a few more screen plays in there, a few more quicker developing screen plays maybe. The ones they have run today, the Wolverines will be able to diagnose and get out wide, stop them for a minimal gain, if a gain at all.
It's very difficult for Florida. They haven't been able to establish a run game, just 21 carries for 24 yards. And that's translated. There's nobody opening up in the passing game. Michigan isn't having to leave guys back in coverage. They're bringing a lot of pressure because it's stopping the run. It's forcing pressure on the quarterbacks, just 112 yards through the air. This Florida offense hasn't really scored any points. I mean, both their touchdowns came off pick sixes, and I think people after this game will realize just how well this young Michigan defense has played.
I mean, and part of it goes to that Florida offense. You mentioned how good the defense is. The offense not quite up to snuff, but regardless, very encouraging if you're a Wolverine fan to see the defense performing just as well as they did. Like I said, that secondary was a big question. The front seven, as good as advertised, maybe even better. I haven't even heard Brian Monet's name called at all today. Not sure if he's been out there, but he was supposed to be one of those starters, one of those cogs up the middle, and they've excelled without him clogging up the middle of the field.
It's been a lot of Lawrence Marshall into that defensive tackle position. Not sure if Monet is injured, like you said.
Yeah, Monet yet to make an impact on the stat sheet. Marshall, meanwhile, has that fumble recovery earlier on and has done a nice job filling in. That's another encouraging sign. We saw this. We talked a little pregame about how this D-line could probably go about 7 deep. If Lawrence Marshall can contribute too, I think we're looking at 8 deep, and very similar to what the Wolverines had last year, where they had just a ton of talent, could just keep throwing it at you, very similar to what Alabama's model is.
Keeps you nice and fresh. So huge possession here for the Florida Gators. Malik Zaire still out there. Takes a snap from the shotgun. He's going to keep it on the read option. Get forward for about 7. There is a penalty flag. Not sure who it's on just yet.
I think it might have been number 64, Tyler Jordan, the right tackle. He might have pulled.
Holding on Florida. It's going to be a 10-yard penalty, so they'll replay first down.
It was indeed number 64. He couldn't contain whoever it was. I believe it might have been Rashawn Gary over on that left side. Not many people can, but you got to do your best as a lineman, at least not to hold. And if you're going to hold, you got to get away with it.
And down on the field is Mo Hurst. Not a good sign for the Wolverines. We were just talking about Brian Monet not making an impact. Not sure if he's injured, but Mo Hurst walking off under his own power. A good sign. Hopefully he's okay.
Hopefully just cramps here. A lot of times early in the season here, guys, not quite into full game shape. Michigan's roster normally a little more in shape than most based on Harbaugh's just grueling practices, but sometimes those cramps just pop up in the very first time you're going full speed for 60 minutes.
Lawrence Marshall back in the game, so Zaire from the shotgun. Pressure coming. Garrett got there, but Zaire stays on his feet. More pressure from Furbush. Does get it off, and another excellent catch on the sideline from Tyree Cleveland. Excuse me, that was the tight end Ciante Lewis again. Good catch right there. So first and 15 becomes second down and 1 or 2. A little bit of hurry up for Florida. They need to. They're down 2 possessions. Zare from the shotgun again. Gonna hand it. No, he keeps it again. And gets forward for about 2 yards for the first down before Chase Winovich brings him down.
And Zare did a real nice job last play, shaking off that tackle from Rashawn Gary. Not so many people can say, and put in a spot where only his receiver could do it. Nice play there by Lewis. On here's Zare, knowing he needs just a couple yards, powering through the tackle from Winovich, and just able to get all across that first down marker.
So 1st and 10 now from their own 31. Clock ticking down to about 4 minutes and 20 seconds left now. Zare drops back looking. Got time, nowhere to go. Now the pressure comes, and he's just going to throw the ball away. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Yeah, Mo Hurst back in there. It was actually Hurst and Gary coming straight up the middle. Forced Zare off to his left.
An excellent coverage downfield. Felipe Franks warming up on the Florida sideline. Not sure if he'll get back into the game. They are running out of time, but he's off and throwing.
Yeah, we said Zare does add that run element to the offense, but I'd argue Felipe Franks looked better as a passer in the limited time we saw him earlier on today.
He's made some excellent throws, especially in that first drive of the game. 2nd and 10 now for the Michigan 31. Malik Zare takes a snap in the shotgun. He's throwing. And it looks like it is caught, and a good move right there. Gain of about 7 from Kadarius Toney, freshman wide receiver. He played quarterback in high school.
Yeah, a little scat back there. A weapon, a jack of all trades there is Toney, and able to get out in space and elude the tackle there. Brandon Watson, I think it might be Watson that's down on the field.
Brandon
Watson. Get a closer look.
Watson is down. Tyreek Cannell finally did make the tackle, and that pump fake by Zare, excellent right there to throw off the Michigan defense. Just 3:54 to go. Florida moving the ball, but not at a really threatening pace right now. Michigan forcing them to take small chunks, which is exactly what we want. Brandon Watson is going to the sideline injured, so we look at David Long and Lavert Hill. The next cornerback up for the Wolverines, Ambry Thomas. They are running 3 corners out there right now, as Florida obviously trying to move the ball down through field through the air, running out of time in this game. The clock is running again. Down to 3:45 to go. 3rd down and 3. Wolverines loading up the box. 8 guys on the line. Zare bringing a man in motion. It's Powell. He's going to roll. Throws to Powell, and it's incomplete. It's going to be 4th down. Last chance coming up for the Gators here. 4th down and 3. Just 3:27 to go now.
And look like Josh Metellus there diagnosed the play. It was a heat-seeking missile headed straight towards Brandon Powell. If he looked a little more towards the ball, might have had a chance to intercept that one. That throw was off by Zare as he was moving to his right. Not really what you want to do when you have a left-handed quarterback rolling to your right. It's a real tough throw. You got to spin around and make the toss. And now the biggest play of the game upcoming.
Not a good throw by Zare. This whole Wolverine crowd is on their feet. 4th down and 3 from the Michigan 38. Game on the line. Last chance for the Gators. Zare. 3 receivers to his right. Takes the snap. Looking. Pressure comes. Got to throw. It is incomplete. No flags. Michigan football.
And Josh Metellus on the coverage again. It was Brandon Powell. Couldn't get away from the sophomore safety. Michigan's young defensive backcourt comes through it when they need them to most. Put the offense back on the field with a chance to finish this thing off.
Josh Metellus making back-to-back plays there to possibly clinch the game for the Wolverines. The Florida Gators do have 2 timeouts, so it looks like the Wolverines need 1 first down, just 1 more first down, and they will hold on to win this season opener. See if they can get that 1 more first down. But an excellent defensive series. The first few sets of downs, just keeping everything in front of them, and then starting to go after a little more with the pass rush on that last set of downs to get Florida offense off the field.
And there's a reason why Don Brown is so highly regarded. He's able to mix up his pressures, mix up his coverages, really throwing off even a 5th-year quarterback like Malik Zare. Zare maybe a little more effective at diagnosing those things than Felipe Franks, but it didn't really appear to make much of a difference for the Florida offense. They weren't moving the ball either way. It just shows you how good Don Brown is as a coordinator and just how talented the Michigan defense is top to bottom.
Michigan will take over at the Florida 38. Again, just 3:22 to go in this game. Wolverines with a chance to start the season off with an excellent win.
And this would be a killer if Michigan somehow finds a way to let this one slip through their fingertips. They have that 2-score lead right now, only 3:22 left. But really not as close as the scoreboard indicates, which by looking at the numbers, Michigan 441 yards of total offense. Meanwhile, Florida just 164 yards.
I mean, you take away those 2 pick sixes, and this game is what, 35-3?
Yeah, probably just about.
Dominating performance by this Michigan defense. And the offense has looked really good running the football. Passing, the secondary for Florida has obviously been really good, but I did not expect this team to have this much success on the ground. 223 yards roughing. And this Michigan fan base traveled from all over the country to get to Dallas, and they are excited now. The Florida fans starting to hit the exits a little bit, losing hope for their team, down by 9 without the football, under 3.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, we happen to make the call over here on the Michigan side. The opposing side of the stadium starting to thin out, like you said.
So 1st and 10 from the Florida 38. Spate hands it off to Chris Evans. He'll fall forward for about 2 yards. See if Florida uses their timeout. They will not yet. Smart, actually. Save them for 2nd and 3rd down, potentially.
Yeah, Florida's going to hang on in case they do happen to get up a first down. This play, they might have another chance if they can stop the Wolverines on the next set of downs.
Michigan going to run that clock all the way down. Chris Evans still in the game. Henry Pogge in the block. Zach Gentry also in. 2nd down and 8. Spate takes a snap, hands to Chris Evans. Evans brought down right away, lost about 2 yards on that play. Excellent run defense by the Gators, and now they will use their 2nd timeout of the half. It'll be 3rd down and 9, 2:35 to go. Do you throw here if you're the Wolverines?
I got to think to keep it on the ground, but I'm not quite sure. Jim Harbaugh likes to zig when other people zag.
If you get the first down, you win the game, but I would argue the defense has played so well that just make them use that last time out,
exactly.
Pin them deep, or maybe if you get a couple yards, go for a long field goal. I mean, with the defense playing that well, you just have so much confidence in them.
Right, that's the exact process I think I would have here. Make sure they use that last time out. Don't let them save that timeout for offense. Even if they end up with the ball with maybe 2 minutes and 20-something seconds left.
It sounds weird, but
you have no timeouts.
2:35 in a football game is a lot of time. I mean, that's a lot of time left in a game. So
especially if you have a timeout.
Yes, exactly. Huge decision right here for Jim Harbaugh. Florida needs to get a stop right here to still have a chance in this football game. They're hanging on to dear life by just a thread right now. 2:35 to go. 3rd down and 9 from the Florida 37. Zach Gentry out there. Nick Eubanks out there. Chris Evans out there. Along with Wilton Spade. It looks like a pretty heavy formation. Grant Perry also out there. But he's an excellent run blocker. It looks like they're going to run the football here.
Maybe try to go to that far side of the field, stretch something out, give Evans a cutback lane of some sort to try to pick up some chunks of yardage.
Spate takes the snap. It's going to be a play action. Spate looking deep, and he's going to be sacked. So Florida will have to use that timeout, but they lose yards, push them out of field goal range, and they'll have to punt. 2:29 to go. It'll be about 4th down and 15. And smart by Spate, just take a sack, hold on to the football.
Yeah, especially hold on to that football. You could not afford a turnover in that situation. Spate looking maybe a bit perplexed on the sideline, talking to his offensive coaches. But interesting play call there. I mean, I don't necessarily like the pass play. I would have just gone with a run. Like I said, maybe pitch it out, try to get Evans some sort of cutback lane to stay in bounds, get a chunk of yardage. Maybe even put yourself back in the field goal range. They were right on the edge of it. And now definitely out of it. So, I mean,
4th down and 17 from the 45.
It's a more manageable punt now, I guess, for
Yes.
Will Hart.
See if Hart can pin him deep. That would be really killer here. Florida, of course, out of timeouts. 2:29 to go. They need to score quickly and likely recover an onside kick at this point.
And if you're able to pin Florida deep, maybe back near their end zone inside the 5, you'd have to imagine Florida would try to run the ball because with the pressure the Wolverine defensive line is getting, you can't afford to take a safety in that situation.
Absolutely. So back to punt this Hart. Brandon Powell receiving it, and a good punt right there. Powell fair catches it at the 11-yard line, so Florida has to go 89 yards and then recover an onside kick and kick a field goal if they want to win this football game.
Yeah, this is do or die time here for the Gators. Time for that Michigan defense to show what they're made of one more time. It looks like Mo Hurst kind of lingering on the outside of the huddle. Not sure if he's going to go back into the ball game. So he was banged up last series. Haven't seen Brandon Watson back out there after getting banged up.
I would rather be safe than sorry with those guys at this point. Up 2 scores. I'm not going to say the game's over. They still need to get the stop, but Aubrey Solomon coming out to start this drive. The freshman defensive tackle, a 5-star stud in high school. Ambry Thomas also out there, another freshman. Zare takes a snap, looking, and pressure right away, but he stays up, and it falls out. Fumble. And it looks like Florida did fall on it. Gleek Hudson almost had it.
Gleek Hudson with the strip sack, and then, like you said, almost able to recover, and that would have for sure sealed this ball game.
So Hudson got to him, and then he ran into his own offensive lineman, and then the left tackle, Martez Ivy, recovered the ball. So Florida really now on their last half clock running, 2nd down and 18. They're at their own 3-yard line. Zare's going to take this snap from his own end zone.
Those linebackers look ready to pounce.
Main pressure, but it's still coming, and it's going to be a safety. And the ball's free. Got knocked out, recovered by Noah Furbush. Touchdown, Michigan.
Chase Winovich just pinned his ears back on that one. Flew around the right tackle there. Or rather, the left tackle, Martez Ivy. Hits there, knocked the ball out, and Furbush, Johnny on the spot, picks up the ball. I think it's fair to say this ball game is in the books here. Michigan up 32-17 now.
Noah Furbush, the senior, recovering the fumble for a touchdown. That's going to secure the Michigan lead with the extra point. It'll be 33-17, 1:37 to go. And an excellent job by that Wolverines front 7 to generate pressure 2 plays in a row. Malik Zare didn't even get to throw a pass on that drive. Norton's extra point up and good. And the Wolverines lead by 16, 1:37 to go.
Just absolutely dominant. We gave the stats on the Florida offense, how many yards they had before that last series. And sure enough, they go backwards on that series and make the stats look just a little bit worse.
We talked about Malik Zare's ability to run the football. We saw him as the dual threat quarterback at Notre Dame prior to his injury and transfer. He has 7 carries for negative 19 yards. Obviously, sacks are counted in that, but as long as just 5 yards. Florida's long rush as a team, 16 yards by Felipe Franks, but Michigan's done such an excellent job with that front 7, containing the run, generating pass pressure, and you see it again, Chase Winovich making the play of the game for the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah, just once again, it's fun to watch this Wolverines defense go out there and do their job. It was fun last year when we had all that NFL talent, and I think there's a whole lot of NFL talent still left on this team. They're really showing it today.
They're just younger.
Exactly.
They'll get there. They're just younger.
I'm sure there'll be some growing pains coming up, but to get past this first hurdle, really the first big test for your team early on, and like you said, a young team, really crucial. Get that first game jitters out of the way and maybe go work on some things for the next couple weeks at home.
Fog will kick off one more time. This one is returnable for Cleveland. Excuse me, Kadarius Toney. He's still on his feet going. He's brought down at the 16-yard line. Danced around for a bit. It's technically still a two-possession game. 2 touchdowns with 2-point conversions would tie it, but Florida hasn't shown many signs of life offensively, and then the odds of getting an onside kick beyond that, not too likely. Of course, they're going to come out and try. We'll see if it's Malik Zerrigan or if they bring out Felipe Franks, but not many options here for the Gators.
Yeah, like you said, looking very bleak for the Gators. On the bright side, these Michigan faithful that have stuck around, I'd say a good 80 to 90% of the Michigan fans still hanging around here wanting to see the end of this ball game are treated to the defense going out there once again. Looks like maybe getting some time for those who haven't seen a lot of time in the game today. It looks like maybe Reuben Jones getting some time there. Carlo Kemp on the other DN spot.
Zaire takes the snap, looking downfield, and that is incomplete. Good coverage again right there on the play from Kalik Hudson. Kalik Hudson's had an excellent game. I can't say enough about the way Kalik Hudson is come in, and you can't fill a guy like Jabril Pepper's shoes. He was a Heisman candidate, but Hudson really has.
Yeah, we mentioned you can't fill his shoes. They can't do it with one guy. Peoples-Jones has shown maybe some ability to do it on the punt return. They need someone to at least mimic what Peppers did on defense. Hudson doing a great job flying sideline to sideline, doing a great job in coverage, stopping the run when called on. He's playing up on the line of scrimmage a lot of this game as he is right here.
I give the ball off right now to Mark Thompson, and Florida seems, LaMichael Perrine. Florida seems to be showing signs of defeat. 3rd down and 9. Clock going to tick down to a minute before they get this snap off. Josh Buke made the play, getting his first action of the game. Down under a minute now.
Josh Uche out of Florida, I believe, as well as Devin Gill and Devin Bush have all made an impact on this game.
3rd down and 9. Last chance for the Gators. Pressure coming for the Wolverines there. Looking downfield. He's going to throw deep and incomplete. It will be 4th down and 9. Gators will take one last tee bet at 41 seconds to go. But it looks like this is going to be a win for the Michigan Wolverines. 33-17, the current score. That should hold in all likelihood.
And the score is just a formality at this point. I think this ball game is pretty safely in the win column for the Wolverines. And Florida drops to 0-1 to start the season, the first time opening up away from Gainesville in 27 years.
Zaire scrambles, fires downfield, and that ball is going to be caught by Josh Hammond. So Florida going to run a few more plays here.
I misspoke there. Not opening up, by the way. This is their first opening loss in 27 years for the Gators.
Wow.
Their first time opening away from Gainesville since 1987 when they opened in Miami.
At the Michigan 47 now, Zaire moves the ball forward, and that one is Kadarius Toney. He's had a bit of an impact for this Florida offense second half. Yeah. 28 seconds left, and Michigan might want to think about stopping this drive.
Yeah, just a little slant route there from Coney on looked like Levert Hill out there. Just a little in route where he was giving him a little bit of a cushion.
Zaire pressured, and he is brought down, and that might be the ball game. 15 seconds left on the play. And that is Mbaye Mousse.
Elise Mbase. Elise Mbase getting some action here.
And the clock is going to run out. The Wolverines start the season 1-0, move to 4-0 all-time against the Florida Gators. 33-17. And the players are shaking hands on the field. Arbon McElwain got a minute midfield. An excellent way to start the season for the Michigan Wolverines. A game that really dominated from start to finish, aside from a couple of pick sixes by Wilton Spate during the second quarter.
Yeah, really, Michigan just came out and dominated. Arguably looked better than we thought they would coming in. We mentioned the only real sore spot, perhaps that offensive line, specifically the right side of the offensive line, and the 2 interceptions for touchdowns there from Wilton Spate. Other than that, there's really not much to pick apart on the Wolverines in this game. They played a sound game, maybe a little bit sloppy early on, I guess, but just really impressive showing all the way around.
Just a thrilling game here in Cowboy Stadium. The Wolverines 215 yards on the ground, paced by Ty Isaac with 11 carries for 114. Chris Evans had 22 carries for 78 yards. Wilton Spate
a touchdown and 2 picks through the air, and this defense forced 3 fumbles and got a lot of pressure all day long on these Florida quarterbacks. What a way to start the season for this young Michigan team. Jim Harbaugh's Wolverines had to replace 10 of 11 starters on defense, 7 of 11 on offense, as well as their starting kicker and punter Kenny Allen, as well as their kickoff man Ryan Tice. You think about, they lose all these starters on the offensive ball. They come out and the defense looks just as good as last year.
Yeah, like you said, they just came out and impressed. We didn't know exactly what we were going to see. I think this was a giant statement, both to any Michigan fans that were worried as well as the country. Michigan is still here. Michigan is still relevant, and the rest of the country better watch out.
Khalid Hill celebrating in the corner with the band and the students who made the trip here. He is clearly fired up about this win. Some of the other Wolverines down there, Aubrey Solomon, Mo Hurst, they are fired up as they should be. What an excellent win for this Michigan football team.
And Michigan fans still staying around waiting for those last of the players to file in the tunnel, waiting for the band to finish up one last rendition of Hail to the Victors. I think it's safe to say that we're just about done here. Very successful day here at AT&T Stadium.
Yes, it has, for Will Yang and Jeff Chan, as well as Austin Falco. I'm Evan Oesterle. This has been WCBN Student Sports Radio. Michigan defeating Florida 33-17. We will see you next week in Ann Arbor against Cincinnati.